Steel boots stomping, crashing the floor. Two wild Yinzers kicking through the door. Loud like a jag-off at a pins game fight. Brace yourself, this ride ain't polite. Two dumb Yinzers, loud and proud. Heads in the clouds, voices in the crowd. Chaos brewing, they don't play nice. Hold on to your iron and grab your prime anti-slice. Tales from the burg with a hint of mayhem. Pierogi powered, nothing can constrain them. Knocking back stories like an icy cold brew. You never know what these two might spew. Two dumb Yinzers, loud and proud. Heads in the clouds, voices in
I'm glad Finch is back. I'm glad Finch is here today, guys, because we have to get a new death pool in. I was thinking about this the other week, and I thought if somebody else dies in the meantime, we gotta get our death pool in, guys. So think about that. We won't do it right away. We gotta give you a little bit of thinking time as the show goes on. But we have to get our death pool together, guys. People are dropping like flies these days. So think about it.
Oh, I have my pick too, and it's a spicy one.
All right, mine's a bit of a surprise. I don't think it's going to be anybody you're going to go, oh, yeah, that person's going to be dead soon.
Yeah,
or,
like the Pope or one of those.
Right. But it's going to be a little
which
bit of
you nailed, by the way.
That's true.
About a week too early, you nailed that one. Yeah.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the show. This is episode 753 of the Two Dumb Yinzers. Welcome back. Glad to see everybody here today. Glad to see Finch, Mike, and Derpy. Everybody
Fashionably late.
I love it. The Hollywood Derpy. Everybody's always glad to see him. Everybody, good morning. Welcome back. Finch, how you been, brother?
Fantastic, actually. Things have been going well around here lately. Been feeling good. I've lost a few pounds this week. I've been drinking some good coffee. And I'm on the show today. So it's been a great week so far.
All right, sounds good, everybody. Mike, how are you today, sir?
I am fantastic. I'm having a good one today.
That's great to hear, everybody. I would say good morning to Richard on the board.
What up?
Derpy, my man, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing great. I'm just taking a walk right now. We'll be at the house in a minute.
You're good. Take your time. Holly Derpy has a way. He has a way about him. I got to tell you.
I'm wondering what the hell we are hearing in the background. And
Derpy, I'm happy you're going for a walk, man. It's good to get out of the house. It's a nice day. Good for you. Don't listen to these fools.
No, that's what I thought. I thought initially it was the sound of like a car passing by. It sounded like you were in a vehicle with the window open, but just as good. Taking a walk on this beautiful Tuesday morning. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Welcome back. So the death poll, guys, we do have to get on that before anybody else dies. So think about that through the course of the show. We will get our picks in for the death poll, so we are up to date on that. Also, I do want to say, guys, this time next month, we will be taking our July vacation, the week of July 4th. The Two Dumb Yinzers show will be down for a week for our summer vacation. Finch and the guys, the Gooners, they may still be doing their shows throughout the period of time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, still plan on tuning in, checking out the guys on Friday nights, but at this point, we are going to be taking our July vacation the week of the 4th, guys. I do want to say, what's that, Derpy?
I'll be in Florida.
You're in Florida?
I'll be in Florida that weekend.
You know what, Derpy? I'm so excited to have you back. You know what? It's early in the show. Let me welcome Derpy back, everybody. Mike.
Yes.
Hit it.
He's in too deep, face never shown, just a shadow's grin, enigma like bourbon with a punch of sin. Oh, Derpy, you're the talk of the town, Steelers jersey on, never backs down, smoke detector singing its own tune, beeping for 2 years under that same old moon.
Oh, I love it.
Fantastic.
Superman at the Comic-Con, cape flapping like thunder. thunder till the break of dawn. On two dumb Yinzers, he's solid gold. Tales of Derpy man, they never get old. Oh, Derpy, you're the talk of the town. Steelers jersey on, never blacks down. Smoke detector singing its own tune. Beeping for 2 years under that same old moon.
This is the country music that I came to hear. Don't give me any of that new country. This is what I like. Is that Luke Bryan singing that, or?
I don't think that's in the budget.
I'm so glad I introduced you to that site.
Both the greatest and worst thing to ever happen to the Yinzers.
Boom!
Boom!
Let me see if I got one for you. Boom!
Yeah.
Yeah, baby.
Oh, he's Superman at the Comic-Con. Cape flapping like thunder till the break of dawn. On two dumb Yinzers, he's solid gold. Tales of Derpy man, they never get old.
Oh, Derpy, you're the talk of the town. Yeah, everybody, welcome back. We got things going this morning, everybody. Tuesday morning, we are back. We got a full house. Welcome to episode 753. Good morning on the board. Good morning to Richard. Good morning to Mark Malone. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to this show. Especially great to see Derpy. Especially great to see Finch on this fine Tuesday morning, everybody. We got a lot of stuff to go over today, guys. It's Tuesday. There was not much action as far as sports goes in Pittsburgh yesterday, but there is still a lot going on here in the Burgh. Nonetheless, guys, welcome to Corey Beavers on the show. Richard says, good morning. Mark Malone says, Derpy be slapping midgets' asses, avoiding porn-producing taxes. That's right, baby. I like it. Corey said, this video should have a music video. That's right.
Oh,
We should do that. Yeah, we should definitely
It's in the
produce a
works.
music video for the Derpy song.
Absolutely. I
It's
want to
in
see
the
Derpy
works.
flying around with his cape flapping in the wind. And
A big red D on his chest.
a big red D on his chest. Hey, now.
Hey now.
Good morning, Ken. Kenneth on the board. Always great seeing you, my friend. Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to a full house of the Two Dumb Yinzers. Guys, as I said, the death poll is in the works. We are working on our death poll picks. We will have that by the end of the show. I want to do it before we have another death, so we're working on that very hard. Yo, what's up, Yinzer Joe? Yinzer Joe in the house on the board this morning, everybody. Good morning to Yinzer Joe. What's up, brother, man? Always great seeing you. Let's get right into it. It's, you know what? A lot of Steelers on the minds of people here in Western PA. No two ways about that for many reasons, guys. So let's get into it. The talk of the day about our Steelers is we have a visit planned, Mike, for who?
Gabe Davis.
Gabe Davis
He
is
was one
due
of
to
the names
be
a couple months ago I mentioned.
Gabe Davis is due to be here tomorrow. Or he's supposed to come in tomorrow for a meeting on Thursday, I think is what it is.
Yeah.
But Gabe Davis, of course, would be a nice complimentary wide receiver opposite side of DK Metcalf. Of course, after losing George Pickens, we have to figure out a way to fill that hole. You know what, Mike, Finch, Derpy, for what we could get this guy for, this is a Steelers blue light special, in my opinion. This is what the con and factory has been going after the past couple of years, going after guys that other teams are pretty much going to pay a lot of their salary. Mike, I think this seems like one of the most sensible picks for the Steelers in this upcoming season. You're not going to be spending a lot of money. You get some decent talent. Again, you know, as you and I were saying off the air, he had a pretty good career all the way up to last year in Jacksonville. I think that this could be a pretty decent pickup for the Steelers if this does, in fact, happen. Mike, again, he's on his way to Pittsburgh tomorrow for the meeting with the Steelers on Thursday.
Yeah, he's not my favorite receiver, but you know, he can be a serviceable receiver opposite DK. He's not gonna beat you with like the route running ability, but if you look at his numbers for what he was for a fourth round pick, they're not bad. You know, his best years were 2022, 2023, like 800 yards, 700 yards. Like up until last year, he was getting you 7 touchdowns a year. He was productive in that offense, anywhere between like 16 to 17 yards on average per catch. That dropped down to like 12 last year. He did miss some time down the stretch. That team really wasn't that good down in Jacksonville. And like you said, they're paying like almost $12 million of his salary. So they can get him dirt cheap. The numbers I'm seeing are like $1.5, maybe $2 million. You bring him in. If he can get a similar production that you got out of him in Buffalo, which I think he can, opposite DK Metcalf, because up there he's opposite Stephon Diggs. Yes, he had Josh Allen throwing in the ball. Yes, that offense is a highly productive offense, but pair him with a true number one receiver next to him, a decent tight end, a pretty good run game. I think he can get back to that Buffalo range, like 600 yards, 7 touchdowns a year, which that's what I'm okay with that as my number 2, because you're going to have Roman Wilson, Calvin Austin, Freiermuth, hopefully Darnell Washington mixed into the pass game as well. You're gaining back that production that you've lost from George Pickens, but you also have DK Metcalf there, and I think you get him, those guys, and Robert Woods, you're going to have better receiving numbers as a total than you did last year.
One thing about that, I mean, no matter who you put in the spot, whether it be Gabe Davis, whether it be whoever it may be, it is an entirely different wide receiver room than it was last year, Mike, with, the additions of DK, the loss of George Pickens, Roman Wilson being back into the wide receiver room. Say you bring somebody like this in. So, I mean, it's going to be a whole different feel for the Steeler team. And Finch, this, as I said at the beginning, it really has the feel of what the Steelers have been doing the past couple of years. You find yourself who could be a good a value guy who could come in and do, be opposite side of DK, be semi-productive, and have to pay a minimal amount of money. This seems like the Steelers. I don't want to say the Steelers way. I don't want to be known as the cheap team. But at the end of the day, this is what we've been doing. And I don't think the Steelers are going to want to go all out this year. It just does not feel like an all-out year to me. Don't go out and spend all kind of money getting somebody opposite side of DK when you could bring in somebody like Gabe Davis. And I think that's probably going to be what your team is going to be, in my opinion. Finch, Gabe Davis, again, over the past day, this is the talk. He is going to be in by the end of the week to talk to the Steelers. In my opinion, I think this is a very, very possible pickup for us. Do I love it? No. Do I hate it? No. But at this point, I would rather have Gabe Davis than not bringing anybody else in at this point to kind of round out that Steeler room.
The key point and the key word to everything that you just said, which I agree with you 100%, is depth.
Yeah.
Depth. That's what we need. Depth. Pardon me. We saw what happened last year when guys like TJ Watt went down and guys like George Pickens went down for a couple of games. We lost most of those games.
Yeah.
And we lost those games kind of close. We lost a couple of games by a touchdown or less. If you have a guy who's going to give you 5 to 7 touchdowns a year, and also I'm looking at the stats, he scores some long touchdowns. He had a 98-yarder, a 57-yarder, a 49-yarder, a 56-yarder all for Buffalo. It's nice to have a guy who's capable of coming in a 1 or 2 plays of a drive and just giving you an extra catch. And if that extra catch is a touchdown, compared to last year, we're going to win 1 or 2 more games. And, it's all in the past now, but, 1 or 2 more wins during the regular season last year, especially down the stretch when we lost, 5 in a row or 6 out of 7 or whatever it was. It would have been nice to have a guy like that to come in and make a play. We could have gotten a little better seeding, maybe won a playoff game. But as it stands right now, I don't hate it. It's a good value deal. You said like $12 million is going to be covered by Jacksonville. Is that right?
Yeah, that's what I read. Like 11.5, 12 in that range.
That's huge, man. I mean, that's serious cash. That's money that can be spent elsewhere. So if you can make that sort of deal and save on the cap there, it's a great idea. It's a good deal. And if it doesn't work out, you don't really lose too much.
Derpy, you were mentioning this was somebody that you did mention early on. I mean, a lot of names have came and gone since the end of the season, since free agency, since the draft, since camp. Names have came and went. But Derpy, you had mentioned this name, Gabe Davis, early on. Is there something that you particularly like about this receiver, or is this somebody that you just kind of thought, hey, you know what, that'd be a nice fill-in for what the Steelers have going on? Derpy, what's your take on Gabe Davis?
I feel like his veteranship his veteranship, basically, I think that will help a lot with the young guys. It's basically, I would say, the secrets maybe from Bill's Mafia would help too. But I would say both of what you said is where
Okay.
I would agree with.
Yeah, no, I just know that you were one of the main, you were one of the initial people throwing this name out there, and you think you'd be a nice value pickup for us? I think, especially like Mike
Yes,
had said, with the money
100% better than
situation,
100%
absolutely.
better than it was last year. I'll say that.
Absolutely. Now, do you think he's a better pickup, guys, anybody than Mike Williams was last year? Do you think we're all going to be sitting around watching games in November saying, "Ay, ay, ay, why this is the same exact thing as Mike Williams last year"?
I don't have any inside info or anything about Mike Williams, but it really feels like that he didn't play for certain reasons. Or
Right.
didn't play well. Like it felt like he might have been injured and wasn't telling anybody, or maybe he was having some sort of off the field thing, because it was like he showed up for like 2 games and then you didn't hear his name again.
You know what?
And
The very first game he was here, Finch, he caught
Yeah,
the
he had a
game-winning
touchdown, right? Yeah, he
Game-winning
was
touchdown.
awesome. We were
Yeah.
on this show just celebrating. We were jumping up and down. We were so thrilled to have this guy because he come in, he made a big play and won us a game. Exactly what I just said.
Yeah.
We need a guy like Gabe Davis to do. I don't know what's up with Mike Williams. I don't understand why we didn't utilize him more, but I feel like there's definitely an underlying reason that's probably none of our business. But to have a guy like Gabe to come in and fill that role would be substantial.
Yeah, Mike, I agree. I think that it just all comes down to what do you want to make of this upcoming season? What is this season?
Yeah.
What does this season mean to you? What is this season going to
What's
be?
the goal? Yeah.
What is the goal? Because there's again, as I mentioned a couple shows ago, my way of looking at this, there's just a lot of more questions than there are answers. Still, I mean, we're 96 days from kickoff, guys, with the opening day against
That's
the
crazy.
Jets. 96 days, Derpy, and we still don't know what's going on at our quarterback position. I don't care which way you slice this; it's just not good. Even when asked, Zach Frazier, Mike, if I could just find my note right here, Zach Frazier, when he was asked about this, he says, "It's not up to me, so I really don't know, but chemistry is important. I'll say that." So, I mean, that's saying something without saying something, in my opinion. That means, bro, we're trying to run business here. We're trying to do our job, and it's not my call. It's not up to me, but chemistry is important, and for a rookie to be coming out making this call, guys, when the person at interest is a 40-some-year-old man, you see what I'm saying? One guy's ready to play games, and and it's let's see, let's go here, let's do this. Well, you know what? I can't make this decision because everybody in my life has cancer. But guess what? I'm going to go to a rock concert, and I'm going to shoot some water guns at people, and then I'm going to go here, and there's pictures of me. I'm really over this, guys. I truly am. Again, the rookie coming out and basically saying that you know what, chemistry is very important, and Aaron Rodgers knows that. There's no two ways about Aaron Rodgers don't know that. He's a pro football player. He's been in the league for many years, been very successful. He knows how important chemistry is, and he don't care. Because if he cared, he would be doing something. Again, this team has gotten together ample times. They've been together for rookie camp. They've been together for OTAs. We got more OTAs today. But yet, no Aaron Rodgers. I think in a way this should really bother people. It really should bother people because this is a football team. And I hate to go back to the old saying that we've all said and we've all heard, but there really is no I in team. And if it's about I this year, if it's about Aaron Rodgers, I can't imagine that we're going to be happy at the end of this football season, guys. What's a successful season for us if Aaron Rodgers does in fact fill the spot? Is it a win in the playoffs? Is that still the goal if Aaron Rodgers is under center? Is a playoff win? What exactly are we expecting as fans? Again, I just feel a bunch of desperation. I'm going to be honest. I'm not bad mouthing. I'm not throwing anybody under the bus. I'm just saying I feel a lot of desperation in this fan base who's willing to take anybody at this point, guys, just to, as I said, make themselves feel a little bit better about what we have going on with our Steelers. But is those immediate fixes, is that going to be enough for you as a Steeler fan moving in the next year when we're not able to move into the spot to get the quarterback we want because we won one or two too many games? Again, that's a lot of speculation. Nobody knows what it's going to come down to. But again, I've been saying this for about a month now. I've been over it. I'm going to talk about it because it's what we do on the show. It's an issue. It's a big thing going on. But if one person that I see leaked out of the locker room right now is talking about chemistry being important, I'm sure that this is probably a theme going around the locker room.
The thing we have to answer, like you said, is like, what kind of season do we want? Because, ranging from the board in our own opinions, like anywhere from a Super Bowl playoff win or finishing in the top 5 is an acceptable season. It seems to be anything but 9-8 or 10-6 and a first round playoff loss. So we can have a 3 to 5 win season to where we're guaranteed a top 10 pick, top 5 pick, or a playoff victory or a Super Bowl victory. Those are the 3 acceptable outcomes. And based on Aaron Rodgers, those you can get any of those results.
You believe that? Do you really believe?
Last year he won 5 games, got the Jets a nice top pick, so that would help us out there.
Well, that's not the part I was in question. The part
I'm just trying to figure out.
Do we really believe that this Steeler team? Let me ask you: do we believe that this Steeler team could be raising the Vince Lombardi Trophy in February 2026?
No.
Realistically,
no. You can have prime Tom Brady on this team. I don't think we have a realistic chance.
Well, Tom, I think that's a whole different story. But
you know what I mean.
Yeah,
I'd say let's take like the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL right now. You put them on here. What, maybe Mahomes can get you over the hump? Maybe. But that might even be pushing it. Josh Allen could probably get the team over the hump. But outside of that, I don't know. So this team is more than just a quarterback away. If they had an exceptional quarterback, like one of the top 5, you can make an argument. But no, this team is a middle of the road team to potentially having a terrible year to set them up for success. And that's just the way, just going by feelings of everyone and just looking at the roster too. Like, it's going to swing one way or the other for this team. It's going to be either a really good season or a really bad season.
Let me get on the board, guys. I don't want to get too far behind. Kenneth says Davis would be good downfield guy. We already have slot guys. We do have ample slot guys. And I got to be honest, I'm seeing a lot of good reports coming out about
Roman Wilson.
Yeah, he's looking really good so far. So hopefully that continues. Hopefully these guys could stay healthy.
Yeah. And with Roman Wilson, like those videos they're showing his footwork coming in out and breaks, if he can continue that development, they can push him to the outside. And you have that route runner opposite DK Metcalf, which you got your big play guy down the field stretch, you get your route running guy on the outside, then you have a couple slot guys that are a physical slot guy and a speed slot guy. That's on paper a nice little offense.
On paper, yes. Corey says, didn't we just add AB 2.0, Isaiah Bond, or whatever his name is?
He's still no, Isaiah Bond. He's still out there with the sexual assault allegations. The investigation's going on right now. From what I read, it's not looking good for him.
Okay, and then Kenneth also replied. He said, yes, he's a wait and see if he gets incarcerated.
That's pretty much the last thing the Steelers need.
Yeah,
someone with off-field issues.
Like if he comes, if everything turns out to be, he's exonerated and no wrongdoing, I'm running after that guy to get him on the scene because he would have been a late first, early second round pick.
You know what I'm going to start? I'm going to start saying. I'm just going to start saying that whoever the Steelers are looking at, let's look the opposite direction because we've been seeming to pick the wrong guy in this area over the past 10 years. It seems like we've always grabbed the head cases. It's working out for other teams. I don't know why the Steelers just keep fumbling apart and tumbling apart, and nothing it seems to be sticking. Other teams. You know what? I think that's coming up pretty soon in one of the messages. So I'm going to continue on here. I'm going to go right up here to. All right, Kenneth. Kenneth says if Rodgers comes late and we don't go anywhere, whose head should roll? You know what? But on the other hand, what if Aaron? I was just reading. Is Mike Tomlin going to be on the hot seat if they don't land Aaron Rodgers? And let's say the teams they don't finish over 500 this year. They go lower than what they, the non-losing streak falls. Mike Tomlin gets his first losing season, and they at the end of the year will say, well, if you would have grabbed Aaron Rodgers, we would have probably been okay. We could have probably been above 500. We could have probably made the playoffs. And we could have probably won a playoff game. A lot of probablys, of course, just speculation and coming from me. But what point can Tomlin not be the ass here. In other words, if they bring it in and you see what I'm saying? Is Tomlin going to be on the hot seat at all for anything? I don't think he's going to be. I think it's going to take a little bit more than a one losing season. But what I'm trying to say is, is Tomlin going to be the good guy? Is he going to be the bad guy? Is he going to be the hero? Is he going to be? I just don't know what this is going to do to him, his legacy. If you do bring in Aaron Rodgers, if Aaron Rodgers comes in and makes the playoffs, if Aaron Rodgers comes in and misses the playoffs, if you don't bring in Aaron Rodgers, I think does this ultimately reflect back onto Mike Tomlin and Omar Khan to where we're saying another bad decision by this guy, more leadership issues, another reason we could say that we want to see some change in the leadership here in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, they would. The season would have to be not make the playoffs or another one and done, and then he would be on the hot seat. If they ride with Mason Rudolph and that's the outcome, it'd be like, okay, that you're going with a guy who was a career backup, and this is what you got us. Okay, but you championed to get this quarterback, and this is what happened. That's on you. He would have to take the fall for it.
Is there any way that Tomlin looks? Is there any way that Tomlin comes out the other end of this and people don't dislike him anymore? Do you see what I'm saying? Is there anything that can happen that's going to change people's minds about Coach Tomlin here in Pittsburgh? Again, everywhere across the nation, people think he's the greatest coach ever. We in Pittsburgh, we see the inner workings of this team week in, week out, 365 days a year. Could Tomlin come out of this where people start to say, you know what? All right, okay, Tomlin can start solidifying his coaching career here, at the end of the second decade of his career, and people could start throwing out the talk of, he won with Coach Cowher's team, blah, blah, blah. What has to happen, Mike, Finch, Derpy, from this point on? And, what does Aaron Rodgers play a role to where Mike Tomlin comes out the other end looking a little bit better than it was going into?
I remember about 8 months ago, 6 games into the season, Tomlin replaced a winning quarterback, Justin Fields, with Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
Won a couple of games, and we all hailed him as a genius.
Right.
I mean, us on this show, every national spotlight. I mean, you couldn't turn on ESPN for about a 2-week period where all it was Russell Wilson and how smart and how ballsy Mike Tomlin was to make that choice. That's where we're at. Yeah. That's exactly where we're at right now. It's like, we look back and we say, okay, well, he did so good on that pick and moving Fields to the bench and whatnot, and it didn't end up well. And Tomlin looks kind of bad at the end of the season. We went from calling him a genius in week 7 to calling him the, a GOAT, not the GOAT, a GOAT.
Again, weren't we sitting at 10-3 at one point last year?
We were something like that, right? We were really doing well, and then we ended up finishing, we lost, like I said earlier, 6 out of 8 or whatever it was to finish the season, and then got blown out in the playoffs. Tomlin, there's not much Tomlin can do to really make himself look like the winner in this outside of winning a bunch of football.
Right.
I mean, if he goes and let's say he gets Aaron Rodgers and somehow, some way we win the AFC championship or even the Super Bowl, people are still going to have that thought of, well, Tomlin, he wouldn't have done it without Aaron. Same thing they used to say about him with Cowher's play. He couldn't have done it without Cowher's players. It's just, all this is just a reason for people to hate on Mike Tomlin.
Let me ask you this, Finch.
I hate it.
Really getting off the Aaron Rodgers subject.
Yes, sorry.
What do you have? What do you have to see from Mike Tomlin for the rest of his career to where you might not say those things, to where you might agree
he
and
has
say,
to win. That's the big one.
You're
winning.
right.
I mean,
right.
it's right there. That's what he has to do. He needs to get a ring, and he needs to do it with his team, his players, his guys, and using his philosophy.
There's no question. So nobody could ever come back and say this, or nobody could ever come back and say Cowher's team. It would certainly do his coaching legacy a great deal of good if he could go out and find a way to win one more Super Bowl. And again, Finch and guys, I don't know if it's going to be throwing a Band-Aid on the team and hoping for the best. I can't possibly imagine this football team that I just played again at one point was 10-3 this year. So, if you were 10-3 and then you get into that final stretch of games where you're playing, it was a tough stretch. We all knew that. We didn't play a single division game till week, whatever it was, 10.
Yeah.
So,
also ridiculous. That scheduling is outrageous. So
10-3, you fail those last 4 games. That's pretty much what screwed your season was the 4 games, Baltimore, Philadelphia, Kansas City, Cincinnati, whatever it was, how it finished out at the end of the year. So, right. So what is it, guys? What separates this team? Is it just an Aaron Rodgers? What separates this team from turning that 10-3 team that we sat here after at week 14 into a team that could be a team to be reckoned with just a few weeks later in January when they're playing football? What I mean, are we a Band-Aid away, guys? I mean, again, we were 10-3. If you figure out a way to win one of those games you lost, let's say we lose Cincinnati because we split with the division all year. So let's take that game out of the equation. We lost to we'll take the Baltimore loss because we beat them already. So we'll take that loss. Let's say we beat either Kansas City or Philadelphia in that final run last year. I would say at that point you could say maybe we could throw some kind of quick fix, grab a player or two, and make it happen. But I still feel that we're further off than that, even at 10-3 last year after 14 weeks. I just don't know if Aaron Rodgers is going to be enough, guys. And he's a wild card. You don't know what Aaron Rodgers you're going to get. Is he going to be a 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers that we haven't seen yet? We might see a blundering Aaron Rodgers whose mind has been so drenched with ayahuasca or whatever the hell he does. The thing is, he's a wild card. So again, a lot of people putting a lot of stock and weight into this Aaron Rodgers situation, guys. And again, Mike Derpy, do you guys think how far do you think we are from turning that 10-3 team in to a team that's going to be a team that can win games in January?
We're the same exact team.
What's that, Derps?
We're the same exact team every year.
We're very similar every year. No two ways about that. Mike, what would it take to change from the 10-3 team that fell apart and didn't win a game the rest of the year to being a 10-3 team that you're looking into the playoffs saying, okay, we could win some football games this year?
What we saw too is more consistent play from the offense, because we saw how the offense, the past couple of years now, their inconsistencies have led to defensive struggles down the stretch. Whereas, the first half of the season, that defense is, they're flying all over the field, making plays, holding teams, and then down the stretch, they can't do anything. They're getting their asses kicked because they're having to do, hero ball every week to keep the scores close. And if you can have better quarterback play, that defense can be a little more rested down the stretch, and that can help. And some better play out of the quarterback, better play just overall out of the offense in general. And you're starting to hopefully see that young offensive line round into form. That's going to play dividends, make the quarterback better, have their run game be more consistent to control the clock, to keep the defense off the field. But then the defense has to live up to their end of the bargain too. Because we've seen it in the past where the offense will set up the defense for success, and then the defense will blow a game late. So, but you're hoping that, the offense being out on the field more, keeping the defense off the field, they won't have those late game breakdowns because they're not as exhausted. So if you get better quarterback play, that can be a whole hell of a lot, or a lot of a help for that defense. Is more consistent play on the offense, and that's been the back-breaking that's been the main problem of this team ever since Ben retired. Even Ben's last year, the offense cannot produce points consistently.
29th,
29th, yep.
Guys, since 2019 or 2020.
Yeah,
so we're 29 out of 32 in touchdowns, guys. Yeah. So I mean, that's post Ben. That's a lot of everything that we've done ever since, and it's really not coming out that much at all. Mike, go ahead and finish up because we do have a lot of messages.
I was going to say, you take a look at the way the Steelers or Rodgers played down the stretch. He was a lot better coming back. You can see he was getting healthier from that injury. Now, if that's the Aaron Rodgers you're going to get, or those garbage time stats, it's remain to be seen. But if he can play the way he did down the stretch, the offense should be better. But like you said, man, there's a lot of ifs, buts, and shoulds coming into this season.
And it wasn't like they had the worst quarterback. Don't get me wrong. The midget Russell the midget Wilson, he didn't play his greatest football. He's the back end of his career. But at the end of the day, it was still Russell Wilson. You didn't bring in Skylar Thompson to be your starter. You didn't bring in Kyle Allen to be your starter. It was, in fact, Russell Wilson. And you know what? In today's NFL, he's going to be a starter on one of the 32 teams. So you
and also we couldn't pass up the deal. Like
And
the value we got for him was amazing, and we all called Khan an absolute genius for making that deal. So don't forget that. It was
I'm just ready for some of these Khan moves to actually turn out to be genius moves.
Yeah.
They always sound awfully ingenious. Guys, let's move on to the messages. I don't want to leave anybody out today. We got a lot going on the board. I'm going to start right here with Mr. Corey Beavers. Corey says, Kenneth, the entire upper management, Tomlin wouldn't have lasted this long without a playoff win if the Rooneys weren't in power. That's a good point. Maybe not. Mark Malone, Roman's always been quick as fuck. Talking about Roman Wilson being hurt all last year. Kenneth says the Rooneys are very patient. You're right. They'll let a whole generation of Rooneys die off before they prove that they're wrong. Feel the Steel. What's up, brother? He says, good morning in squad. I'm not going to say anything until week 17. Boom. All right. Fair enough.
Boom.
Fair enough, Mark Malone. Or Tomlin is a complete and total idiot on the level of starting Trubisky and Pickett over Rudolph. The thing about that, I don't know if it's such a clear-cut answer. Looking back in hindsight, we could always say, well, you know what? Maybe we should have went with Rudolph. He had he was here for a while. He knew the offense. But at the end of the day, I don't think that that's ever going to be a clear-cut answer. I think that
it's a polished turd situation.
It's a polished turd situation. Absolutely.
Unfortunately.
John, Big John Stud, middle name Mud. What's going on, brother? Always great seeing you on the board. Big John says Mahomes lost the Super Bowl because his O-line couldn't compete with the Eagles' D-line. He needs a strong offensive line. The Steelers are unproven, regardless of hope.
I agree. Great comment.
Mark Malone, wouldn't matter. We all know why Tomlin is really here. John says, if firing Tomlin isn't an option, how about hiring innovative ACs and force him to accept a change in philosophy? And the thing is, I don't understand what they love so much about the current philosophy that's not being changed. They're just, again, a lot of questions, guys, a lot of questions about this team. Mark Malone, he says Rooney can hire anyone he wants. Yinzer Joe, he says, I think the whole organization knows they don't have a quarterback to compete right now. Mason can get a couple wins, but he's not a starter. They still want to give it their best try by getting Rodgers. Mark Malone says Magnum Malone will atone for Tomlin's sins.
That's a cool name. I like that.
Yeah, me too. Magnum Rudolph. So we meant, Kenneth says, I think after receivers fumble last year and the QB mystery this year, they all look bad now. Mark Malone, Magnum Rudolph is going to make him look like a complete and total idiot again. Yinzer Joe, there was a lot of contributing to the downfall of the team later in the season. It wasn't just Wilson. Corey says, well, if it was a lack of quarterback play that cost us those 5 games, we couldn't move the ball in the passing game, mainly because Russ couldn't throw over the middle. And that's just a stack up, a pile on of the same excuse over and over and over. This has been the problem for 4 years now. Somebody said, I don't recall who it was. Somebody said that the Steelers, let me see if I could find my note here. It was something along the lines of the Steelers don't quite look like they have an idea what they're doing at the quarterback position. They don't look like they have a vision of what it is that they want to do at the QB position. And guys, again, after 4 seasons,
hard to disagree with that.
It's kind of becoming hard to disagree with.
Do you think this is a discussion we've had before? Do you think the Steelers could really use a good, solid quarterbacks coach? And would that, especially with somebody like Aaron, who's kind of set in his ways, do you think that could make a difference?
I think that it would make a great difference. I would rather have a good QB coach than I would rather have Aaron Rodgers. A good QB coach is going to be it's going to be a way to fix the problem.
Sure.
I just think that, the bringing in of assistant coaches that they do bring in, I would like to see better candidates. I'd like to see a lot of times they're a guy that coached a high school in Mississippi back in the 80s. It just seems like the caliber of guys they're getting. Nobody from this coaching staff, nobody that coached under this guy, nobody that's from the tree of this coach that you would think, just nobody with pedigree. And a lot of people think that's by design. A lot of people think that, Tomlin plays a part in the hiring, and he tends to keep his hires at a certain level. Maybe because he doesn't want to get out coached. Maybe, he's just ultimately thinking of his career.
Maybe it does come back to the comment made earlier about his philosophy, and maybe Tomlin just doesn't like to be told what to do, I guess you could say. And I mean, nobody likes to be told what to
Right.
do, especially if you have been proven to be successful with what worked for you 20 years ago when he was in Tampa Bay or whatever. Obviously, it worked much better than the defense and the way that he ran things. And he won a Super Bowl with that team. But yeah, I think that is what it comes down to, man. Maybe Mike is a little too set in his ways sometimes, and he does need kind of someone to slap him around a little bit. And
Right.
what I think it was Mark Malone said earlier about the Rooneys, they could get anybody they want, right? I mean, they really could. They could go out there and they could say, hey, we're the Steelers. We need a coach. And literally everybody would come out of the woodwork. Hell, Bill Belichick would probably come out of the woodwork and have
Right.
something to say about it. So it is kind of that damned if you do, damned if you don't situation when it comes to the assistant coaches and philosophies of the Steelers and philosophies of Tomlin specifically. But I do think that Mike maybe should kind of take it down a notch and understand that, yes, he is a good coach. Yes, he's a likable guy, but also he has flaws and his game has flaws.
Let me ask you something, Finch, Derpy.
And a good coach could help that, I think. Assistant coach.
The way I see things, and I think I mean I'm looking just as an average guy, just like yourself and everyone watching the show. And where did Mike go?
Yeah, he dipped out a minute or two ago.
The world may never know.
My question is this. Tell me what it is about Mike Tomlin. Don't say his record that he's never had a losing season. Without saying that, what do you see in Mike Tomlin over the past decade that makes him one of the best coaches in the league? Because every player wants to play for Mike Tomlin. Everybody says if Mike Tomlin gets fired, he's going to find another job within minutes.
Probably.
What is it about Mike Tomlin that you see that makes him one of the best coaches in the league over the past 10 years without saying his record under 500? Is it great, amazing game plans? Is it the way that this team performs in the playoffs? Is it the way that, that what is it? Are we just going off the pedigree that he won a Super Bowl in his second year in Pittsburgh and hasn't come anywhere close without that team? What is it? The players come here, they love him. A lot of times they end out leaving in a different mindset. But what is it, guys? What keeps everyone reeling 10 years after this team has been able to win a playoff game to where we say this guy is one of the best coaches in the league? You're always going to be able to take, again, his record, Harbaugh's record, throw him up there and say that, they have two of the best records. But what do you guys see? People on the board, Finch, Derpy, Mike, here in 2025, after 10 seasons, not winning a playoff game since 2017, every game since then, they've all been blowouts. We've let up at least 40 in a lot of them. What is it, Derpy, that we keep saying to ourselves, oh, this guy, he's one of the best coaches in the league? At what point? At what point do fans, analysts, national, local, regional, whatever, start seeing this for what it is? We're just not playing good football. There's not exceptional game plans. We're not doing other things where we're out coaching other teams. There's not that decision in the game that's made by Tomlin to where you're saying that was a freaking great decision. Look at us. What is it? 2025, 18 years removed from the Super Bowl, whatever it is, 18 years, give or take. What is it, guys, that just has Mike Tomlin sitting on that pedestal that if you start saying anything bad about him, no, there's a reason. No, there's not a reason. The reason is we're not winning football games. I don't care about any of that other shit.
That's literally the only bad thing that we can say about Tomlin is that he's not winning. Unfortunately, that's the most important part of his job. And that's what makes it a tough thing.
Yes.
I think a big part of Tomlin's allure is his ability to communicate.
Yes.
People love that. I love it. I mean, I got a whole soundboard here of just Mike Tomlin quotes because they're fantastic. It's a tough question, Ryan. It's a tough question to answer because the record is the thing that makes him
That's why
seen,
this
I
is
guess.
tricky, right?
Yeah,
It's
it's hard because how do you fire a guy? Like, I mean, I've kind of been on that train of getting rid of Tomlin this year. You guys were I was giving you guys a hard time back in January about this, but it's like the guy has that special something that people like. He's a likable guy. and he's a great communicator. And we watched the Hard Knocks thing. Man, we loved his demeanor on that show, right? It's things like that you like. And
at what point do you move on beyond this?
Right. That's the real question, right? Like, how much losing is it going to take where finally you're just like, let's put that stuff aside and just look at the record.
So if we continue to lose and bad things keep happening, but as long as he comes out and says some funny things, we're going to be
okay. Is it okay? Yeah, right. No, we're not okay with it.
Right.
But the national media loves it, and they're going to continue to praise Tomlin's ways until he either gets fired or he has an absolutely abomination of a season. You know, if he goes out and he has like a 2-15 year or something, which will never happen, by the way. But if he did, that would be the only thing that would turn the national media on him, I think. I mean, seriously, like it's all about winning or losing. And as great as a communicator
if you never had
he
a
is,
losing season, nobody will ever be able to justify outside of Pittsburgh him being released by the Steelers.
And I think that's a great point you just made right there. Outside of Pittsburgh, like you said, the national media loves him. You talk to people from Buffalo or Vegas or California, and you talk about football coaches, they like Tomlin. You talk to any Yinzer, and we're just like, fuck that guy.
Right.
And it comes back to the winning. I mean, that's the reason we think that way. If he would have won 2 or 3 of those playoff games over the last 10 seasons, we would be having a different discussion right now. We might still be a little anti-Tomlin if he hasn't won the big game in that time, but we would be a little nicer to him.
Let me ask you guys, I'm going to go around the horn real quick. Derby, I'm going to start with you. Is Mike Tomlin going to win another Super Bowl as head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers? Derby? Not this year, just at all.
No.
Finch, do you think Mike Tomlin wins another Super Bowl as head coach of the Steelers?
No.
Mike?
Unfortunately.
No.
Okay. All right. That's all. No stipulations, no ifs, ands, buts. Just a fair question. Guys on the board, same
Real
question
quick,
as well. Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
I just want to point out, since 2008, the Steelers have 173 wins. Packers have 173. The Patriots have 179. And those are the top 3 teams in the NFL. And then we're tied for 6th in playoff wins since that time. Now it's 8-10 record in that time, but those are kind of the records that I guarantee you.
Are you guys happy with that, Mike? Are you happy with that?
I'm happy with the tied for 2nd in regular season wins.
I mean, we're no better off than a team that wins 3 wins every year as far as anything. We have no hardware. We have no success in the
probably
playoffs.
Worse off because those teams that are only winning 3 a year also get great draft picks, and they're able to get that one player that can change the whole scope of the game for them. We have not been able to do that, and that's what makes it so tough. We are mired in mediocrity.
Yes.
So they're winning. The team's winning games. We're just not winning them in the postseason.
We're not winning the ones that count.
We're tied for
winning the games that count are the ones that matter, because anybody could not win or not win games in the regular season. The fact of the matter is, we're as successful as the Browns are. At a certain point here, because again, it's all about.
You could argue that the Browns are more successful than us in the last 10 years. They beat us in the playoffs.
That's right. But we're going to jump on the board, guys. Tortilla, I'm going to go all the way back to this. Tortilla
These
says,
comments are awesome, by the way.
They really are,
comments,
guys.
Yeah.
I don't want to miss any of them. Let's get caught. Aaron Rodgers, DK, Warren Johnson is what separates us. I think our offense is better than last year. If we sign Rodgers, got new MLBs, new DL, our defense could be better. John says Alex Rollins NFL is the YouTube podcast name. He gets paid to elevate QBs. Phil Steele, Corey B. No, that was 90's fault. I think that's
always comes back to Watt. He's always screwing things up for us.
0.0.
This one's for Field of Steel.
Boom.
Mark Malone says it would take Caleb Johnson and Magnum Rudolph.
Love that name.
Let's see. Phil of Steel, 3 and outs up the wazoo. I mean, those kind of things are the things that you're going to kind of see. You're going to see disappear, I think, with an Aaron Rodgers on your team. The constant 3 and outs, the total it's going to be better than Russell Wilson if Aaron Rodgers.
Always feel like there's a chance to win a game when you have a guy like Aaron Rodgers in his prime.
In his prime, yes.
In his prime, yes.
Yeah.
Does he still have the capability? Yes. Is his body going to cooperate and allow him to play to that capability? that's a big wild card there.
See,
And
I
then, of
think the
course,
wild
there's the whole
card
mental
itself
games.
is I just don't know if he can. I mean, we haven't seen him play very good fight. I mean, okay, down the stretch last
Yeah,
year.
he had
But
5
you know
games
what?
with the
So
Jets
down
or
the
whatever.
stretch
Yeah,
3 years ago, Mason Rudolph had a few good games as well.
that's true.
5 wins is 5 wins is 5
And he caught a
wins.
helmet to the face for that, by the way.
That's true. Phil of Steel says wrong, Mike. Defense gave offense many shots. Offensive sucked. Offense sucked.
I saw
In the first
games
half
where,
of games, yes. In the
I
second
saw
half of
games
games,
where
defense gave it.
where the offense scored to take the lead, and then the defense goes out there and immediately gives up a touchdown or a field goal.
Mark
But I
Malone
get what
says,
you're saying. It goes both ways.
yeah, the 3 and out, the no scoring in the first half, it kind of puts a load on. Yeah. And again, how many teams can we put out there and get these same results? We've been doing this for quite a while now, guys. Tortilla Slay's a better man to man cover the DB than Jackson was, so we should be better as a team there. Yinzer Joe in the defense. If the defense is playing man to man, they're predominantly zone. Mark Malone, Midget Wilson. Midget Wilson gives Derpy a hard on. Derpy, is this true?
Beep.
Phil of Steel says, screw that. It was Canada. Canada 2 in 2024. Kenneth Jones, Rogers got better down the stretch because he was finally gelling with his guys. It will be the same if he does it here. Exactly, people. It took him till the final stretch of the season last year to start putting up good numbers. You don't think it's going to take him a while to get warmed up to people around here? I mean, I think Zach Frazier hit that right on the head when he said, that's important. You gotta have your chemistry it's a team game.
And let's not discount the fact that the fan base knows who Aaron Rodgers is, and we know what he's about. What happens when he goes out there in like the 4th game of the season and has a bad game and Acrisure Stadium boos the shit out of him? Does that affect Aaron? Like, is he mentally strong enough anymore to where he could just shove off the booze and go out there and throw a touchdown? I think that's a big part of it too. He's a very insecure person, I think. And I think something like that could have a real effect on him. A Cueto drops the ball situation where the crowd gets on his case, which we do in Pittsburgh. I could see that also being, I think that could be an issue as well. Is he mentally strong enough to handle a shitty crowd at Acrisure? Because he's going to see those if he plays here.
Mark Malone says, well, how different did the offense look with Mason versus Midget and Buston? Mark Malone says, aye. And that was off of Mike's comments. Mike says, Derpy can get you a discount on some midgets.
Yes, he can.
John says, innovative OC, hire first, then let him hire his quarterback coach and find his guy in the draft. Yinzer Joe, I feel like the Steelers just want competent play. We had Wilson, who didn't throw over the middle, and only had Pickens. Fields could run, but couldn't read fast enough. Rodgers has proven he can. When is people going to start saying the age? I mean, he's closer to 50 than he is to 30. You know what I mean? Mark Malone, dudes. Tomlin is just there to sell merchandise into the indoctrinated masses. That's why Rooney keeps them on. Kenneth says, you said it, players coach, not necessarily best strategic coach. Right. And I think that's what we're feeling here. Because you're definitely not seeing great strategy out of this team. You're not we never come in on Monday after the game and talk about how great this team was coached. How the team out-coached the other team. You just don't see that. But you know what? The players will say they love this guy. They love to play for Mike Tomlin. But that doesn't always equate to winning. Let's see. Tortilla, if you hire a big game coordinator, is going to leave in a year or two. Steelers would rather pay cheap and keep a system for as long as they can instead of paying and changing the system year to year. And that's why they get the same results, right?
Yeah.
Phil of Steel, sorry, but the players make Tomlin look good. Cowher and Knoll coached great games. I would like to see a game where I just at the end of the day say, wow, that was such a great coached game by this current coaching staff. I can't remember if I've ever said it. I mean, there's been times I'm bitching because of challenge calls, whatever. When are we going to say, wow, that was a greatly coached game? When we just outcoached them.
Tomlin has a tendency to make blunders late in games that make him look pretty bad, and usually involves poor clock management, bad use of timeouts, that sort of thing. Yeah, I 100% with that. Like, you don't see Tomlin make the right decision in those situations a lot, when you would see guys like Belichick or Andy Reid make the right call, and it ended up being the difference.
Last year, when they were 10-3, we were talking about how, my God, great second half adjustment. So they were making adjustments throughout the game, but then like down the stretch, like everything else, those went out the window as well, to where they just couldn't adjust down. They couldn't do anything right down the stretch. So to say, they're not good tactical, I'm gonna push back a little bit on that, because they were making adjustments offensively and defensively.
Well, I mean, I think, Mike, obviously that's just something you have to do as a football team. I don't think these are great moves. I think they were adjustments, because you have to make adjustments.
You have to make adjustments football. To act like they're not doing anything. They're not trying to change up what they're doing, or doing any coaching during the game.
Well, everything they're doing is unsuccessful. That's the bottom line. Anything that we come back to, Mike, this team coached teams the last 8 years that have not been able to win a playoff game. And I think that's, again, there's teams, Mike, that don't make the playoffs for a long time, like the Browns. They got in and they won a playoff game.
Yeah.
So again, there's so much still to be desired by this coaching staff. And I'm not just gonna say the head coach. I'm talking about top to bottom, because I don't think the assistants are that great.
No.
But, again, Mike, a lot more questions than answers is just kind of my theme lately with this team. Let's jump in right here. If we continue to let Rodgers string us along, he's making the culture worse. Now we draft a guy who will be expected to be the guy with no leadership, because Rodgers isn't all there. Players never leave and talk shit about Tomlin. It's always about Rooney. You literally never hear a player or coach say anything bad about Tomlin. He just gets all the blame. Corey says he's going to show Will Howard the wrong shit, and then he's going to teach that guy to be the next guy. It'll start to be a bad trend. John says Spags and KC has been offered more than he is getting, yet he stays. Jordan Love.
I think, like Spags, I think he just loves being a defensive coordinator. I think he's just loving being that DC down there.
Oh, it's easy. Yeah, I mean, when you're winning Super Bowls, I'd love being the DC there too. Mark Malone, you can go to your local used car lot and hear the same things Tomlin says for free. It isn't great communication. It's sheer stupidity. Mark says, John says Tomlin has a losing playoff record. It's getting worse and worse, because, yeah, you're right. When we do get in, we just don't win. So every year it just continues to get a little bit worse. I believe if Tomlin won a Super Bowl with the Killer Bees, most would still give him a pass today.
Perfect. That's a
absolutely
perfect comment. That was the best assembly of players he ever had on the entire team. I mean, he still had a great defense at that time. The Killer Bees were on top of their game. He had everything going for him, and he still couldn't pull it out, and that sucks.
Tortilla says Steelers won't move on from Tomlin until he wins another Super Bowl. Yinzer Joe says players play their heart out for Tomlin. They run through brick walls for him because of his belief and commitment to them. He believes in every player and demands 110% of their play to be effective. I wonder why they're just not successful then. Again, if you're playing...
It's come down to talent and ability.
If you have 53 guys playing at 110%, maybe you could have won a playoff game in the last 10 years. But again, we're still trying to figure all that out. We're still trying to figure it out, guys. Field of Steel, Noah and Cower won divisional and conference playoff games. Mark Malone, Pickens, and others gives maximum effort at Yinzer Joe. LMFAO. That's true. Are they really giving it all? Who was it last year? Remember when Deontay Johnson, he went walking past a fumble during a live play?
Yeah.
So, I mean, are they really giving 110%? Are they really running through walls for this guy?
No. Definitely. There was definitely some laziness going on last year in a few games. You could see it.
Kenneth says Tomlin can get another Super Bowl if he does something un-Tomlin-like and let Howard get his feet wet this year to start next year. John says the dude Alex gets paid to evaluate quarterbacks, not elevate. Mark Malone, Yinzer Joe, the only reason players want to play for Tomlin is because they don't have to work. That's why they stand around pointing at each other after colossal boner of a play like idiots. And he goes on to say to Yinzer Joe, an actual coach would have them practicing.
That does rub me the wrong way when you see players not showing up for OTAs.
Absolutely.
Especially veterans. You know, AB was notorious for that. Hines Ward actually was notorious for that. Like, that bugs me. That bugs me. Like, the coach really should be getting on these guys, especially when you have a team like this that's somewhat disjointed, that has a lot of new players. Great comment earlier I read, you know, almost the whole offense is new. You know what I mean? Every position has a new guy in it. You do need these OTAs. You need every minute together on the field and in the film room that you can get.
Because
And,
you're at the highest
100%,
level
100%.
of
Yeah.
American football, which means you're going out and playing the best, fastest, strongest, biggest guys, the smartest coaches, coordinators, everything that money could buy is in this league, the best of.
Yeah, the game film, the breakdowns, the guys who can run these telestrators and break down plays for these players to show them what they're doing on this all-22 film. It's amazing, the tech and the ability of these coaches and players, and I feel like that we're not utilizing it properly. You know what I
Let
mean?
me ask you this, guys. Do you feel that if a good coach, let's just say somebody came in, and just don't take that for what it's worth, if they bring in a coach who's highly motivated, who has awesome game plan, who has awesome preparation, who's great with the players, let's just say, is there, if a coach came in here with a different mentality, someone who formed a little bit different of a culture, is this team any closer to being what we want this team to be? I mean, ultimately, can we point this back to Mike Tomlin and can we say, you know what, this is it, guys? Look at the lazy play. Look at Deontay Johnson walking past a live fumble. Let's and point to all those blunders that we've been talking about over the past 2-3 seasons. If a different coach came in with a different mindset, is this team good enough to win those games that we don't win? Or is it just a combination of all this stuff? It's the coaching, it's the football players, it's the because the fact of the matter is, guys, we can't win a playoff game to save our life. One playoff game. The Pirates managed to win a playoff game. So could a different coach, and again, I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think Tomlin's going anywhere soon.
No.
But if a different coach came in, could he take this particular group of players and be more successful? Or is this just what we have? Finch.
Once again, you're kind of asking Mike Tomlin to polish a turd.
Right.
It's the players are there. We have good players, right? We don't have the greatest players. We don't have the best coaching strategies. So maybe a different coach could do something. It's hard to say, right? I mean, it's all ifs, ands, and buts. It's all coulda, shoulda, woulda. If Andy Reid is here or Bill Belichick is here, probably a little bit better.
Let me ask you, Mike.
You know, I don't know.
Mike, do you think if Andy Reid or Bill Belichick or somebody else was here, is this team better off in those tough games that we went 0-4 in? Is this team better off in a playoffs than we have been? Let's just say if a coach that comes in and has been a proven winner for long periods of time in the postseason, would you feel better, or is this team just it's just where we're at for the 8th straight year? We just don't have it.
So, okay, just bringing in the head coach, keeping everything else the same, the systems, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I just want to get the parameters correct here. Maybe win 1 or 2 more of those games, maybe, but we still get bounced in the playoffs.
Interesting.
I just don't think it's going to be that much of a get over the hump. Now, if we were running their systems, that's a different story. If we were running, if we had Steve Spagnuolo, if we had, I forget the offensive coordinator down there in KC, if we had them in the rosters that we had, you might be looking at a playoff run. But that's still taking into account the quarterbacks that we had and everything. Maybe you win a game or 2 in the playoffs. But I'm
just saying, because coaching, do you think somebody who's generally a good winning coach in postseason, could they come along and figure out a game plan, a strategy to get this group of guys to win a game?
I don't know, because you mentioned Belichick and you mentioned Andy Reid. Andy Reid's kind of – Belichick didn't do much without Tom Brady. I was about to say the same thing about Andy Reid, but Donovan McNabb, he went to
Yeah,
4
he-
straight NFC Championship games in the Super Bowl with Donovan McNabb. And Donovan McNabb wasn't a terrible quarterback, but he wasn't an elite quarterback. So
He's
maybe
not Pat Mahomes.
not Pat Mahomes. Maybe Andy Reid, Belichick. I'm going to say no because the evidence shows without Tom Brady, he was not that great of a head coach.
Well, I'm talking about
Andy
this
Reid-
Pittsburgh
Andy
Steelers
Reid-
rosters.
Yeah,
Whatever.
with the roster and everything, I maybe Andy Reid.
All right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
The ability to control the game with timeouts and to control the flow of the game is something that Tomlin struggles with, and it's something that guys like Andy Reid are good with. They don't make terrible decisions. They don't challenge every single play.
Well, let me talk about the plays that we just mentioned. Deontay Johnson walking past a live fumble. Some of the bonehead plays that Pickens has been involved in. Those kind of things. Do they get eliminated when you bring in a coach that's not Tomlin? I mean, are these issues that the guys like Andy Reid and Bill Belichick's nip in the bud? Because you don't see New England Patriots making those kind of bonehead plays for 20 years under that guy. Or you don't see Kansas City. I mean, there was a couple plays that they made, a couple bonehead plays, hardly anything to do with Andy Reid. But
someone like Reid would put Johnson on the bench after a play like that, and Tomlin wouldn't. I think that's the difference.
Right.
I don't think Tomlin wants to discipline his players properly. And a great comment I saw a little bit ago.
Isn't that a problem though, Finch?
Yeah, when you want to be the parent wants to be the friend instead of being a parent. I think Field of Steel actually just commented that. That's what I was getting at. It does feel like that, right? Sometimes you just got to grab your kid and shake them and just say, "Listen, this is what you need to do. You can't do this. You're grounded." Tomlin doesn't do that.
Yeah, he doesn't want to ruffle any
he
feathers.
Probably
Everyone
should.
thinks he's such a cool guy. He doesn't want to. I mean,
maybe that's why he's such a cool guy.
Right?
Is that you can get away with things, and it's a terrible philosophy to have, and it does lead to boneheaded shit. It leads to AB walking off the field or Deontay not even looking the way
all
of the
those
fumbled
things
ball,
have to stop. If you're going to be a good football team, those things can't happen.
Yeah. It's the little things.
It's the little things.
It's the job of a coach to identify the little things, to fix the little things before they become big things.
Absolutely.
I got to agree with that. Tomlin's not good at that. He has not proven himself to be
53 guys
good at
just
that.
out there doing whatever they want. Yeah, you just can't. You have to. There's order. You have to be able to control your team and put forth. Guys, let's move forward though. We're getting bombarded with messages.
Yeah, we're getting crushed with these comments. Let's do it.
I don't want to miss any of them. Mark Malone says an actual coach would have them practicing. Yinzers Joe says at Mark Malone until they go crazy in the head. In Pickens' case, he was crazy when he was drafted, and they knew it. We got to quit picking these fucking head cases. Maybe again, a lot more questions than answers here, guys.
Why is it always wide receivers too, man?
It's just wide receiver mentality, man. You have to be a bit fucking nuts to go across the middle.
Yinzers Joe Rogers played Miami 2 times, Jacksonville and Buffalo, who was already in the playoffs. His last game, it wasn't. So, I mean, the competition that Aaron Rodgers played last year, I guess, wasn't exactly that great either. I didn't even think to look back at the teams that he did put up those good numbers against. But if Buffalo was playing a non-meaningful game, Miami twice, and Jacksonville, that really, really speaks volumes. John says one variable that continues to get ignored. Sure, Rodgers doesn't need much time, much train up. However, a new quarterback, running back, wide receiver, left tackle, right tackle, all O players have to get used to Rodgers' style. That takes time
and practice.
Again, people were thinking that we're going to snap our fingers and this guy's going to come and everything is just going to be better. Kenneth Jones, Finch, I agree. How Tomlin makes some of the challenges he makes or mismanages the clock at the time, I can't understand. Richard, that's one problem with Aaron Rodgers not being part of practice or even working out with the team. Kenneth Finch, I agree. How Tomlin can make some of the challenges he makes. Okay, it's just the same message. Tortilla, Tomlin is great at halftime adjustments, but he has a pattern of losing late in the year. Needs to change the way I know we basically played with the Miami Dolphins in December.
Yeah,
you think
we do? It's just weird.
Kenneth says, I remember being the best outfitter in high school, but the seniors who would come to games drunk would start anyway. That's Tomlin's philosophy.
That's a little sick, but he's right. That is the kind of shit that happens, and it's hard to disagree. Tomlin has a little bit of that going.
Yeah, you're right.
Sucks.
more of a buddy guy, which is the guy that you wanted to play for. When we had a coach in junior high who was a buddy guy, that's who you wanted to play for. You were excited to go. You thought, yeah, it's going to be fun.
I think we
laugh.
all
He's going
have
to play
had
music during practice.
We've all had jobs where the boss was cool. And
Right.
we're like, man, I want to hang out with that boss. I want to work with that guy. And you look at the schedule and you got the other boss and you're like, fuck, I don't want to work with him. He sucks. He makes me work. You know what I mean? There is that mentality.
Work might get done. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, right. You mean things are actually going to happen? Yeah, right.
Mark Malone, I was more referring to just practicing effectively throughout the week of the regular season. Kenneth Jones, remember? Okay, there he goes. For some reason, Kenneth's messages are doubling.
They were coming back through twice. It might be something on our end.
Mark Malone, we're very close. We're literally a competent head coach away. Yinzer Joe, Boswell didn't attend OTA. Is he going to miss all his point attempts? How about what? Is he going to get any more sacks? What about
Kicker's
DK?
not a football player, so that argument doesn't work with the kicker.
But what he's saying is true. Like, these guys aren't there. Like DK Metcalf wasn't there either. So
guess what? TJ Watt may have had a better season if he would have showed up for some OTAs. Maybe he picks up something in his head, some sort of blocking scheme or something of that sort that will help him later down the year. He'll be in situations in practice that you might not see till later in the year in the games. Maybe he ends up finally tackling a fucking running back or something. That's something he can't do. A little more practice might help him develop that skill.
Or just keep it sharp. I mean, even if he owns the skill,
just
hone it right.
Just hone it down. Because you got it. Sorry, good.
Oh no, like we said yesterday, like when he focuses on stopping the run, he's a monster at it.
He can do it.
When he's just not focused on just trying to get the quarterback to play
finish
hero ball.
Yinzer Joe's.
Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry about that.
Because I like what Yinzer Joe's saying. I get.
Well, and I'm going to tell you why I don't like what Yinzer Joe's saying. I always respect Yinzer Joe and I love him, but this part is the one thing that I don't agree with. The very last sentence: OTAs don't determine anything.
Exactly. That's
100%
wrong.
Right. You got to show up to your. Do you want to be a part of this or no? Are you on a team? Are you a professional football player in the NFL for the Pittsburgh Steelers? Then show up. That's all.
I remember
maybe just
10 years ago, people giving Troy Polamalu a really fucking hard time for not showing up to OTAs.
I mean, why not have anybody then? Let's just not do OTAs.
Because
let's just all get together. You know what? If nobody needs to have chemistry or learn what the guy next to him is doing, let's just get together at the end of July, get into the season, preseason in August, and hope for the best. Again, you got to be around the guys. You got to know what the guy next to you is doing, and to be a good team, you have to know what the guy next to you is thinking. Mm-hmm. It's a deep thing to be a good team. There's a lot that goes to it, and I think by saying OTAs don't determine anything, I don't think that it determines what it is what you mean, and I agree with. I think you could go out and have an amazing season if you don't go to OTAs. To that point, I don't think it's relevant. I think it's part that this is a team, guys. And this guy still has no involvement in this team. And we expect in 96 days, he's going to be the quarterback to play with these 52 other guys and hope for the best. Where's his involvement with his teammates? Again, it's not tennis. It's not golf. Guys, he needs to play with his team.
But he has no teammates right now. That's the key thing. Like he is a free agent.
No shit. That's what the point is. You're going to be
here.
But,
like if he was on the roster, I'd be more annoyed that he's not here.
Well, it's more annoying because we don't know what the hell he's doing. Is he going to be here? Is he not going to be here? So, I mean, I think that makes it more frustrating.
The draft was over a month ago, and we were talking about this before the draft. We're like, is he going to show up? What's this going to do? And it's like, he'll
be here after the draft.
We'll see him in May.
OTAs.
No, are we going to have the same conversation if Gabe Davis comes in, has a good meeting, and leaves without a contract? Or are we going to be saying,
because
where's Gabe Davis' contract? Is he going to sign? Why is he
quarterback and a number 2 wide receiver are two totally different topics?
Well, plus, you ask Gabe that question, he's going to tell you, well, I didn't sign because I don't know who's throwing me the damn ball.
Fair enough.
I mean, it's just a way to look at it, right?
Like
that's the chain reaction that you're dealing with there.
Antiquated philosophy is antiquated. Kenneth Jones says, "Feel is still what happens when a parent wants to be a friend instead of a parent." Same thing with coaching. Mark, welcome to you on the board. Great to see you on the board. Who do we sign as our quarterback 1 if Rodgers retires? You know what, Mark? That's one thing we're just trying to figure out. What kind of season is this going to be? Is this going to be put the team out there. Let's see what they got. Throw this shit against the wall. See what sticks, and maybe finish just low enough to land in a good position for the draft in Pittsburgh next year. Use our draft capital, move up, and get a guy that a young quarterback that we could call our own and start working toward the future. What we're doing now is counterproductive. Let's keep throwing Band-Aids on this. Let's try to have a good season. If I throw a Band-Aid, let's throw an Aaron Rodgers Band-Aid on this. Let's hope we win the Super Bowl. And if he don't win, let's throw a Band-Aid. Let's get Kirk Cousins because at least he can throw for some yards. There's so much more that goes into football than throwing a Band-Aid on it, guys. This team has to start doing the right things and building from the ground up. Again, I mean, the quarterback, if Aaron Rodgers does retire, I think at this point, would in my opinion, is going to be Mason Rudolph. I think it's going to be Mason if Aaron doesn't sign here. Because otherwise, why are you going to spend all that money to go out and get Kirk Cousins? Why? Is he the future of your team, Mike? Is Kirk Cousins the future of the Pittsburgh Steelers? Is this where we're at? Because I don't know if that's the team I want. If I'm confident with either. Because Kirk Cousins is about 100 years old. He got drafted, in 2012? RG3 draft?
Yeah. What? It all depends on what season do we want? Again, do we want a total rebuild? Do we want to try and make it into the playoffs and win? Do people have the stomach for a complete rebuild?
And look how desperate we are now. Again, Mike.
That's just the question. Do people have the stomach? Do the fans have the stomach for what it would take? What they want? A complete rebuild. I don't think this fan base has the stomach for it.
Everybody says they want it, but they don't actually.
But they don't want it. Listen, so this is kind of what you get. You get a rebuilding on the fly.
Don't just feel desperate, guys. Don't just feel desperate. And anybody that just comes along as Steeler fans right now, we're like, oh, yeah. We'll take him. Oh, yeah. Give me Cousins. If we can't get Cousins, let's get this guy. Guys, last week, Jonnu Smith was the big topic at the end of the week. Jonnu Smith was the big topic, and all of a sudden, everybody in Pittsburgh was a Jonnu Smith fan. Jonnu Smith is a tight end that plays for the Miami Dolphins. He was the lone Pro Bowler, and I'm going to say most people don't know and probably didn't know who Jonnu Smith was prior to last week. This is the feel of desperate. We look desperate, and again, any name you put out there, we'll be a lot better if we bring in this guy.
Yeah.
But is that, again, guys, is that ultimately fixing anything? That just hopes that this guy could maybe win one or two of those games that we lost down the stretch, maybe win a game in the playoffs. I just don't know if we're that close of a team to be able to throw that Band-Aid on and make the run that Pittsburgh Steelers fans want. I think that you have to go after your guy. Again, anybody who's winning anything in this league has their guy under center. We don't have him. I say go with the less. Go with the lesser this year. If you have Mason Rudolph and don't do as well, that's actually beneficial moving forward. Again, in less than a year, we're drafting. We have 12 draft picks here in Pittsburgh. If we don't have such a great season, so be it. But I got to tell you, is all the drama and all the bullshit and all the baggage that Aaron Rodgers is going to bring to this locker room, is that going to get it done for us? That's what I'm saying.
I think the real question is, will it be worth it?
We look desperate as a fan base. We really do. Any name that you bring up, again, guys, Jonnu Smith was every Steeler fan's topic last Friday. I'm going to be honest with you. 5 people. Can you tell me anything about Jonnu Smith? Probably not. He's the lone Pro Bowler on a bad football team. Again, I'm not saying he's not good, but I'm just saying, again, this kind of just shows you where we're at. Where this wasn't generally, again, we're in our 40s. This isn't what you see the Steelers do historically. This is just not throw a Band-Aid and hope this is a team that can win a championship. I think, and I'm convinced that you need your guy in this league. You need your quarterback. I'm convinced that there's only about 5 of these people that walk the planet at one time for whatever reason. But we have to get one if we want to get there. When was the 2 best successful times for the Steelers finish? Terry Bradshaw years, Ben Roethlisberger years.
Absolutely right.
In between, after, nothing, nada.
A lot of
got to get your guy.
Yeah.
Guess what they did not do? They didn't throw in a Band-Aid and hope to win a Super Bowl. Guys, we look really desperate right now. Again, anybody that comes along today, Gabe Davis. We're all big Gabe Davis fans. So,
in the legendary words of Coach Mike Tomlin, it is what it is.
it is what it is.
It is what it is. That's all just a bunch of numbers and stats.
Let me get back to Richard.
Yeah.
Both those coaches would be a better coach during the game. We have seen them both. We have seen both of them outcoach us. Mason, you definitely don't. I'm sorry, Mark Malone. I'm sorry. You definitely don't see players standing around pointing at each other after getting torched for the 10th time on defense.
To be fair, that's kind of an epidemic around the league. You see people do that crap every play in at least one game every single week. Like
we do that here,
and we do that here.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned earlier a particular play, or somebody mentioned earlier in the chat, I believe, a particular play where they'd stand around. Oh yeah, great play, good to go, and then you look up at the scoreboard, it's 21-3 or something like that. You know what I mean?
I just meant us here. We do finger pointing here at the show as well.
Oh yeah. Well, we wouldn't have a career in beautiful podcasting radio if we didn't point fingers. Like that's
right, baby.
The controversy is what makes the show watchable.
Yinzer Joe probably be Kirk Cousins, and everyone will be like, "Why hasn't the Steelers traded for him yet? Why isn't he at practice?" LOL. Kenneth says Tomlin is like the parent who doesn't discipline their children, and then have to put the kid out because they are out of control. I mean, not ideal coaching situations, I think is the main thing that keeps being brought up here. Mark Malone, Cousins, and Rodgers aren't even employed by the Steelers. Yinzer Joe, Feel a Steel. I told the players I coached straight up, you got balls. It's time to show it.
Feel, we don't want to see your balls, bro. Keep it to yourself.
Yinzer Joe, last time Watt held out at Finch, he was a sack leader. Interesting.
But he held out.
Yeah.
Instead of showing up, he held out. And it might have helped his paycheck. Didn't help the Steelers very much.
Yeah, how did the Steelers do that year?
Yeah, how did we finish that year, buddy? I feel like an asshole, but I'm just saying, like that's
you leave Yinzer Joe.
I like Yinzer Joe. I'm just giving you a hard time. Like that comment, it makes sense. You're right. But he held out. He made a personal decision to go for more money, and I'm not saying he didn't deserve it, but he made a decision to choose himself over the team in that moment, and the ultimate prize was a loss in the playoffs.
This next comment, I think John nails it on the head. The players have to adjust to Rodgers.
That's true. That's 100% true.
Should respect that.
I've been watching a lot of this stuff on Barstool with John Gruden lately, and like the whole thing with Jackson Dart, the snap count, and all that stuff. Did you see that?
I did not know.
Aaron Rodgers has they just going behind the scenes. Gruden talking about snap counts and how you can confuse players and stuff. Really interesting stuff. Aaron Rodgers has a very unique snap count. And he's been known for that for a long time. I think it's like he says 219. He's like 219, something like that.
Yeah.
That is an adjustment that players are going to need to make. And it takes
especially a young offensive
practice.
Line, especially linemen that's been
Who
injured
haven't played
all
together.
Right.
Exactly. And they have to, this is exactly what you were saying earlier. These guys, especially linemen, right? They have to gel. The guy in the left guard has to be able to be inside the mind of the center. He needs to be inside the mind of the right tackle, and they all need to move and work together as a team.
Don't you want to put yourself in a good position? Let's say you're playing on the road this year in a big game in Baltimore, in a game you need to win. And the offensive line's not used to the cadence of Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, and let's say he tries a silent count and the O-line can't get it together, and next thing you know, it's a false start and we lose 5 yards.
Right, and we're right, exactly.
That's what it is, and that's where things like OTAs come in and be very important. OTA Mike, and all the summer stuff.
Mike, let me ask Mike this question. Yes. Mike, John hit the nail on the head in my opinion. This is the comment of the day. The players have to adjust to Rodgers. He should, as a leader and the head of the team and a veteran, should be able to understand and respect that you know what, we're going to step up to the line in Baltimore in November in a must-win game, and the crowd's going to be loud, and 2 rookies from last year and a rookie that didn't play at all last year and a guy that plays a tackle position that's not quite sure what side he plays on all have to hear what you're saying and understand the cadence and know when you're going to clap your hand. And those kind of things all
in a matter of
back.
seconds. You have to figure this out. It's like
and that
it needs to be second nature.
Season. Simple, fundamental football things like this that aren't being accomplished by people not participating.
I'll be concerned if he's signed and not at training camp. that's when I'll be concerned. Because right now it seems like they're focused on Mason Rudolph being the guy, and that's their backup plan. And if it's Rodgers thing fails, we got him. Argument. And if Rodgers is here once he's under contract, either before or after mandatory.
But I think the point being is this counterproductive as a teammate though? Shouldn't the other players shouldn't they be able to get used to their quarterback at some point? Again, I mean, training camp, you're getting awfully close to the season, and I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
But again, you're only 3 weeks away from a regular season kicking off at that point. I mean, you're at the end of July. You're getting ready in beginning of September to kick off the regular season. Don't you owe it to the other players to get a chance to play with you? I mean, yeah, he might be okay, but what about everybody around you?
He'll owe it to them when he's under contract. Again, so that's just my feeling. My thought
is
that's when he's under contract.
But
right now, he's not under contract with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
And nobody's saying that he is, and nobody's saying that he's obligated to be here. So, nobody's saying that he is, and nobody's saying that he's obligated to be here. But if he may be our quarterback one day, do you think that this is kind of counterproductive for everybody around him? Why can't you just make your decision? Let us one way or another. If you're not doing it, dude, fine.
Just tell us. Yeah, just please cut the damn tape
so the team can start preparing mentally. Because again, this is the highest level of this particular sport, and everybody else around the league kind of has things, at least their quarterback position to where they're comfortable. We don't even know if our quarterback is going to be on our team in a month. So these are problems, and I don't know why people are having a hard time understanding that. I mean, it's not one guy. There's 53 freaking people on the team, and the dude has to, in my opinion, you're right, Mike, he's not signed. That's not even the argument. The argument is, why the hell aren't you at least telling us something? Give us something. Even if this does go on to camp, I think that's even more of an issue because you just don't have, you got to know what's going on. Knowledge is key.
Yeah. Now, if they sign it like halfway through training camp, then that's when I'll be pissed and annoyed. Right now, I'm focused on the 90-some guys that are on the roster right now.
Oh, obviously.
Yeah,
but the big question on any football team is the quarterback. I mean, that is no two ways about it. If you don't have a quarterback situation figured out, you're not going to have a great season, whether you have 165 guys on your team.
And well, one thing that's good with Aaron Rodgers not being here, the players and coaches are able to see what do we have with Mason Rudolph? What do we have with Will Howard? And this is the time for those two to step up.
I agree.
Force their hand to say, "Oh shit, maybe we don't need to go out and get Aaron."
I think Rodgers. Those two guys are the guys that should be playing this year.
Yeah, that's the one thing that's people aren't talking about. Like, this is the time for those two to shine. If those two step up in a big way, they more or less force the Steelers' hand to say, "You know what, Aaron, you've waited long enough. We're moving on. We're going to run the season with these two."
And I got to be honest, I feel that that's the way that we should go this season. And I've been saying it for a while, Mike. If any season is the season to go Mason Rudolph, it's this year right here, going into the Pittsburgh draft. Mike, that's been my take for some time. Let's move forward. Mark Malone says, I don't think Rodgers shows up till after they get back from Latrobe. That's probably why he's willing to play for $10 million.
He's watching the weather report for July, and if it's going to be hot and steamy in Latrobe, he's going to wait it out.
Mark Malone, I mean, the juice probably isn't worth the squeeze for him.
Probably.
John, if the offensive line can't prove they can protect him, Rodgers will quickly become CPT check down, build confidence beforehand. That's right. Everybody got to be on the same page. Football's a hard sport, man. John says my Chihuahua is helping me type today.
Comment of the year.
He's nailing it today. John is.
Yo quiero Taco Bell.
Kenneth says, I say, let's take our medicine and find the young successor. I think ultimately that's probably the smartest answer.
Yeah, and like I said, before, like how much of the Steeler fan base has the stomach for that?
I know.
Like I say, I have the stomach for it, but I know once they start losing games, I'm gonna start throwing shit at the TV.
Especially when we start losing to Cleveland and Cincinnati and shit like that. Jacksonville, those really bad teams.
Yeah, we've done that before. We've done that before. I'm immune to that.
Rodgers brings engagement cash until the gig is up, just like in NYC. Finch said doo-doo.
I'm sorry. I've been running in and out and back and forth. I've been listening to the show, and I did not catch the doo-doo part.
Let's see. Vegas, what's up, my man? Well, let me scoot up here a little bit. Vegas, TJG, need to get Mike Munchak back to coach the O-line if they don't drastically improve this year.
Hell, get Russ Grimm. Where's he at?
Hey.
Mike Munchak, that I don't think he's not even coaching anywhere in the league now. I think he's done coaching.
Phil Steele said the stand turd is the stand turd.
New T-shirt.
Steelers need a thug. Steelers need a thug. That's what Phil is saying. Vegas, I would love to see Troy. I would love to see Troy time a snap with QB's claps. Oh, yeah, right.
Oh, God. I was watching highlights of that shit, of him just diving over.
Diving the line, yeah.
He would stop the tush push.
Mark says, LOL, Kirk Cousins is 100 years old. Killed me. John Rogers dreaming of two 19-year-olds at the same time.
Who isn't?
Right. Vegas, does one 40-year-old in hand beat two 19-year-olds in a bush? John says only if the bush is trimmed.
I came back at the right time.
You really did.
I came back at the right time.
Mark Malone, if the offensive line doesn't have it together game one of the season, no matter the quarterback, we will have way bigger problems. Coaching, in parentheses, the interior offensive line has nearly a full season of snaps together. And that's what I'm, but on the other end, Fatanu, he's going to be in there. He hasn't played, a couple downs. Did he even make it the regular season? I don't remember last year. A couple rookies, again, they're coming back for their sophomore season. We're hoping McCormick. I mean, the guy wasn't really a caliber guy that you would expect to be starting in his rookie season. Can he match the success that he had in his rookie year? A lot to be seen there still, guys. Mark Malone says they're the ones that really need to communicate. Absolutely. No two ways about that. Richard says Aaron Rodgers isn't going to play more than 2 quarters all preseason. You can build chemistry that way. Corey, if I was Rooney, as soon as I found out Aaron Rodgers was at a concert but can't seem to give me an answer, I would have called his agent and told them thanks, but no thanks. Football isn't his priority. So bye. Yinzer Joe says everyone acts like there isn't practices after camp or during game weeks. They get it together. These players are pros for a reason. P, what's up, P? Mike and I were just talking about you yesterday. Hope everything's going well for you in Japan. Sir, he says Joe Flacco would have signed by now. Kenneth, I say it's possible the team and Mason have been instructed to be ready as if Rodgers isn't coming. Richard says can't build chemistry that way. Phil says I'd take Flacco over Rodgers. A couple more messages here, guys, and we will move along. Mark says, dudes, we really are in good shape. It will take a complete and total retard of a head coach to fuck this up. I can't imagine this will get fucked up. John says get a big lead in games and give Howard some. Absolutely, Howard has to see the field this year. No two ways about it. And I don't think it's irresponsible by letting him play as a rookie. You're getting looks at him. You're not throwing him in there as the starter and saying, you got to get looks at your rookie. You got to.
All information is valuable information.
Absolutely. Just to get your ears, get your feet wet a little bit.
Let him take a hit. Let him throw the ball.
Absolutely.
That's what I've been saying for a while.
You ain't never been hit unless you got hit by somebody in the NFL. I don't care where you went to college. These guys in the NFL.
That's why all those guys talk about my welcome to the NFL moment.
They all have one of those, don't they?
Yinzer Joe said Joe Flacco has 12 kids to support. He better do. Does he really?
He has 4.
Oh, okay.
I looked it up. I wanted to see if he was like a sneaky Phillip Rivers type guy, but Google said 4. But
you know how that eyebrow he ain't.
Yeah. Guys, let me go over a couple things here. We got to move along. Of course, the big news today, former Bills and Jaguars wide receiver Gabe Davis is scheduled to travel to Pittsburgh tomorrow to visit the Steelers on Thursday. I think this could be pretty productive as far as the Steelers goes. This is late in the game. This is a guy that we could get for dirt cheap at this point. We need a number 2 receiver. I'm going to go out on a limb. I say they grab Gabe Davis. I think that this meeting with the Steelers goes successful as the week goes. I think it makes sense. It makes sense. It really does. I mean, we sat around and waited for Brandon Ayuk for months, and let's grab Gabe Davis. Let's get this offense going. Again, we have OTAs today. We are, next month we're in camp, guys. I mean, July and then preseason. We get 3 games there, and then again in 96 days we're kicking off with the New York Jets in New York. So, guys, we're not that far off. And the other big part of that, guys, the Steelers are not expected to trade for Miami tight end Jonnu Smith, which was the big trade talk last week. They are not expected to make that move, which I got to be honest, I didn't really find that to be a big surprise, seeing that I didn't think that we needed another tight end, especially when they started talking about what we might have had to give up to get this tight end. We already have a lot of tight ends. We've drafted tight ends. And if that's the case, if this is how we feel about our tight end room, I just, again, a lot more questions than answers with this team. But I think that, again, Jonnu Smith, Mike, Finch.
If we, go out and get Gabe Davis, added Jonnu Smith to Darnell Washington and Pat Freiermuth, had a bunch of offensive weapons, I'm for it. I think Jonnu Smith will be a nice complementary piece to Freiermuth, but it's not going to happen. There are reports saying that they just gauged the interest, and it seems like the asking price may have been too high.
A couple of things here, guys. Let me point out that. All right, let's go with this one right here. Okay, Darius Slay and Joey Porter Jr. rank among the league's 32 best cornerback tandems, according to PFF. Mike Slay is number 21. 21 they have ranked by PFF, and also Joey Porter Jr. 26. So, not elite players, but again, for the back end of your defense, having two guys, 21, 26, I think I'm happy with the big Darius Slay pickup this offseason.
Me too. And if Porter, he needs to take the big step this year. This is year 3. Cut down on the penalties. A lot of them, I think the vast majority of his penalties came in 2 games. So you throw those 2 games out, he was a clean corner. There's stats going around saying he's 81 targets against him without a touchdown. That's hard to determine because, was that his man? Was that not his man? Was he passing off? Blah, blah, blah. But if that's the case, that is impressive. The past 2 seasons, 80 targets, 0 touchdowns. That's, a nice step in the right direction. I'll just cut down on the penalties there because he's a good physical corner. He has that Ike Taylor disease. He's not going to get you a lot of interceptions. He will break up passes, but he will lock down the guy too.
All right, Mike. Also talking about PFF, while Finch was talking about peeing,
nothing sacred in the private chat.
No, there's nothing sacred in the private
you gotta
chat.
You gotta go, man.
Exactly.
You're gonna get the you don't believe me. You don't want to see the picture that Finch said over in the private chat from the bathroom.
Maybe you do.
I drank a lot of coffee.
Speaking of PFF, though, in the defense, this, guys, is a list of the interior defensive linemen, top 10 list, guys. I find it kind of interesting, but you'll see why in just a second. The PFF top 10 interior defensive linemen. Mike, number 1, Chris Jones. No surprise. No. I would have given that to Chris Jones as well. Number 2, Dexter Carter. No surprise there. If not number 2, he certainly deserves to. Lawrence, you know what I'm saying.
Okay.
Dexter Lawrence. If not number 2, he would certainly be close enough.
Yeah. Sexy Dexy's the man.
Sexy Dexy, Lawrence, and Chris Jones, number 1 and number 2. Number three, Cam Hayward, guys. The number 3 best interior defensive lineman in the league, according to PFF, only behind Chris Jones and Dexter Lawrence. Number 4 on this list, Quinnen Williams. Number 5, Jalen Carter. I seen Jalen Carter dive under an offensive lineman's legs to try to intercept the ball that was being spiked into the ground. I want that guy. I want the guy that makes that kind of plays. But that's just me. That's number 5 on the list. Number 6 is Leonard Williams. 7, Derek Brown. 8, DeForest Buckner. 9, Jeffrey Simmons. 10, Christian Wilkins. Mike, Cam Hayward. Finch, Cam Hayward. Number 3 overall, according to PFF, in the top 10 interior defensive lineman. Number 3 of all those names that I just mentioned. Is that a good place for Cam Hayward?
Didn't we speak earlier this season about Cam Hayward and how there was a player poll or something, and they were talking about how he's one of the toughest guys to play against? Weren't we talking about that before? I mean, I don't understand where PFF gets these ratings. I don't understand what numbers they use.
Yeah.
But I do feel that it's a good pick. I mean, he's definitely great. He's going to go down as one of the greatest Steelers of all time, whether you like it or not. He's going to be a big name here for a long time. So yeah, I don't hate it. Once again, the people you really need to ask are offensive players that line up against him, and it seems like they feel the same way. So I'm happy about it. It's good for him. It's good to see he's getting some notoriety. I just wish he would win more games.
Yeah, for me, for Cam, like I'd say top 5. So he's in the right area. I would hesitate to put him above Jalen Carter, but I think I think Cam's more consistent than Jalen Carter. Jalen Carter makes those splash plays, those wow plays, but he's not as consistent as Cam. So I see why they did it there. But
he's winning Super Bowls. How bad is
well, he's not the only one out there on the D line.
They didn't win the Super Bowl when he was drafted. It got better for them. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, but top 5. I have no problem with that. I do think Chris Jones and Sexy Dexy are the 2 best D. And after that, you got those 3 right there battling for number 3. But I think this year Cam will take a little step back. I think Cam will still probably end up being like a top 10.
Well, remember Cam came off a big payday last year too, so he was highly motivated to play.
Yeah, and he got his roster bonus this year too, so he's set no matter what. So will he?
And I don't think that he would use that as a reason to suck. It's a pattern that you've seen with a lot of players in the past. And you see
it with Cam too. Cam will have great games that make me go, oh, this is the Cam I used to be a big fan of. Then he has those games.
That laser game, yeah.
This is the Cam that I know that no one else sees. And he didn't have a lot of those last year. He had more of those. This is the Cam that we all know and love. Can he replicate it? If he does, he'll still be a top 10 player. But, he's going to be, 36? You're going to take a decline. Somewhere you're going to hit the wall. And when he hits the wall, is it going to be a steady decline? Or is it just going to be a slight decline?
All right, let's get back to the messages, guys. We do got to get caught up here. Mark Malone says it's the Mormons that really have to support the wives and the children. Joe Parham was signed by the Steelers too. Can't see why they would go after another tight end.
His contract is where if they don't like him, they can cut him. It's free and clear.
The Steel says, I got a feeling. John says, honorable mention is Peaches for the most off the field sacks. QB sacks, that is.
Yeah, she takes a couple sacks a day.
Steel says quarterback nut sacks. Guys, let me blow through some things here. Three ex-Steelers received first-team UFL selections. That's right, Mike, the wide receiver Deion Kane and Tyler Vaughn and Mike punter Brad Wing. All 3 of those former Pittsburgh Steelers were selected to first-team UFL selections. Congrats to those gentlemen.
Yeah, Deion Kane wasn't a bad pickup. The one year they had a lot of injuries, but he's that borderline roster guy.
The Steelers and the Buccaneers finalized their summer joint practice talks, Mike. And apparently in these summer joint practices with the Steelers and the Buccaneers, former Pittsburgh Steeler Larry Foote is going to get to call some plays.
That's our guy.
Talked about, Larry Foote. Finch, you're right. Foot, baby.
Foot.
So that's going to be a lot of fun. Preseason, not too far off. Just next month is going to be Camp Mike Finch. So preseason just around the corner.
I can't wait to see.
Time is flying, man.
Pittsburgh Steelers joined. They spent Monday at Kennywood as the new as the steel curtain opened up last week. The roller coaster at Kennywood. The Steelers spent the day at Kennywood yesterday.
And the coaster was down all day.
That coaster was down.
Yeah, it was.
So
classic Kennywood.
It would have been nice to see. Right? It would have been nice to see number 12 down there eating Dippin' Dots or something. But
yeah, right. Still, potato patch.
Yeah, eating potato patch.
Crushing fries.
Him high down there. Yeah, I can see him getting all high, wandering around. He'd fit in with Kennywood, man.
P says I'd go to Canada if it wasn't too cold. Vegas says Cam's game is a strength-based, not speed-based, so the wall takes longer to show up.
That's a great comment. He's right.
He got that old man strength, man.
P said Zimmerman. And one more thing here, guys, with the Steelers, I do want to mention the latest addition to the Celebrity All-Star Softball game that's going to be going down on July 14th at Washington Wild Things Stadium in Washington, Pennsylvania. Team offense, Mike has added 4 players. Jesse James, he caught that ball.
Yeah, he caught it. I remember.
Matt Light, of course, people know, comedian, and a couple that I don't know. Kendall Vertes, Kendall Vertes, guys. Kendall Vertes is on team offense, and Larry Nance Jr. Larry Nance Jr. So these are the latest additions. It seems like they're coming in fours. So that is for team offense for the celebrity softball game at Washington Wild Things Stadium on July 14. So just more names added, Mike, to the names that we've already mentioned that are going to be there.
Cool stadium, by the way.
Absolutely.
Wild Things have a really nice park. Very
let me
cool
jump
park.
over to a couple other different things real quick in college football. Aaron Donald, Craig the Ironhead Hayward, and Matt Kavanaugh, they all are on the College Football Hall of Fame ballot. So hopefully get some more Pitt people in the College Football Hall of Fame. Again, Aaron Donald, I think, nails it.
Lock.
Craig Ironhead Hayward, I mean, come on.
He should be.
He should be. Yes, he should. So let's go rooting for those guys to get it. Mike, the Riveters, if you're going to see the Pittsburgh Riveters, the new female soccer team, this Saturday, it's going to be a whiteout. So you get down to the stadium down at Highmark Stadium, Mike, they're having a whiteout. I know a lot of people like the whiteout. Get down and check out the Riveters this Saturday. Mike, the Pittsburgh Pirates, they start a series today against the Houston Astros. This is game 1 of 9 on a 9-game homestand. Game 1 is today at 6:40. Probables are Paul Skeens. He's going up against Lance McCullers Jr. Skeens coming in with a 4-5 record, a 2.15 ERA, and 77 strikeouts on the season. The rest of the way, Mike Burrows will be pitching tomorrow against the Astros, and Mitch Keller will be wrapping up the series against the Astros. Mike, the Pirates are sitting at 15.5 games out of first place. They are 22-38. The Astros are coming in with a 32-27 record. The Pirates did sign Ronnie Simon off the waivers from the Marlins yesterday. They always have to. Why do you keep going after these guys from the Marlins? Come on,
right?
Are they so impressed with what the Marlins are doing?
Right? Is that Randall Simon's kid? That's what I want to know.
That was my first thought. I thought that's if that's Randall Simon's kid, that's classic.
It's Milwaukee Brewers mascots. Look out!
And finally, Mike,
right.
the Indiana Fever. Mike, they're back at it again without Caitlin Clark tonight. They host the DC Mystics. That game is 7:00 p.m. That team is desperate to get Caitlin Clark back.
Oh yeah.
As they lose again, I don't think they've won since she's been gone, Mike. So
no, they've lost. Real quick, Paul Skeens, lifetime ERA, 2.03 with a 15-8 record.
Yeah.
Way to go, Bob Nutting.
It's the second best ERA at this point in his career since the beginning of time. I think only one guy was better.
He was 11-3 last year. My God, he should at least be. He did have that one bad game, so that one loss was on him. But some of these other games, 12 games, he
had that one bad game.
He
John on the board says take a lead and give the studs like Cam and TJ less snaps all season. That will help in the postseason. Well,
if the offense stays on the field more, they will get less snaps as well. So,
in their defense, though, a lot of times I do see TJ and Cam on the sidelines in the fourth quarter.
On third down for some reason.
So,
always seems to be third down.
Phyllis Steele says 81. Vegas, Jesse caught the ball away from his body, then brought it into his body, then extended it across the goal line. How that wasn't considered a football move was complete BS. I agree. I mean, come on. Looking back, if whoever says that wasn't a catch at this point is just fooling themselves.
Right. The ball crosses the plane, the play is over. That's a touchdown.
With it in his hands.
Yeah.
Without his knee on the ground, that's a touchdown.
Yeah.
Mark Malone says, I encourage you to watch Cam running through drills at OTAs. Fastest looking DL there by far. That's scary, actually.
Is he that's not good because he looks great, or is he the fastest looking comparative to his teammates?
He looked good for an old man out there.
Because if he's the best looking one out there at his age, I don't feel good about the future, especially with a Derek Harmon and some of these other guys that should be playing pretty well.
Yeah.
Guys, Phyllis Steele says 34 in the Hall of Fame. Big Ironhead. Big Ironhead deserves to be in the College Football Hall of Fame. No two ways about that.
Fantastic nickname, too. One of the best nicknames in sports ever.
Absolutely. And John says Ryan is applying to be the Riveters mascot. He will work for free as long as he can wash the uniform.
Wash the uniform.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
That's right.
Wash, wear.
Dude, that big old Greek
Sniff.
beak of yours will be inside of a lot of
You ever
shorts.
seen the show Curb Your Enthusiasm? When
Yeah,
Larry David was wearing the bra, and it just put me in mind of that. Like, why would he do that? And I could see me doing that as well. Mike, why don't you go ahead and tell everybody about the website?
The twodumbyinzers.com, where you can find all of our social media links, more than we have here on the show. Listen on the YouTube page. We got My Dumb Thoughts over there. We got the merch store over there, and we might have a new category over there. Ryan wearing the Riveters uniform. So be on the lookout at the twodumbyinzers.com.
I was just gonna sniff it. I wasn't gonna wear it. Guys, let's get to go check it out, everybody. The website is www.the2dumbyinzers.com, not www.the2dumbyinzers.com. Let's get to the question of the day, guys. This is a Steeler question. We hit the Steelers hard today. Question of the day. Here we go. Which Steeler is the career all-time fumble leader? Which Pittsburgh Steeler in the history?
You mean fumble recovering or fumbling?
Fumbled the ball. Who fumbled the ball away more times than anybody else in the Pittsburgh Steeler franchise? Take a minute to think that over. We're live 5 days a week right here, Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on YouTube. All right, guys, plain and simple. Question of the day. Which Steeler is the career leader in fumbles? Putting the ball on the ground. If you have any guesses, put it up on the board. Finch, I'm going to start with you. And I wouldn't ask. Listen, let me put it to you this way, guys. I'm going to throw it out there. I wouldn't ask this question if it was somebody we didn't know their name. If it was Joe something, so from
Dan Kreider or somebody like that. Yeah, right.
It's somebody.
You put some respect on Dan Kreider.
Oh no, I love Dan Kreider. It was the first name that nobody else knows that popped in my head.
Yep. So I just want to throw that and then on the board as well, so people know that this is somebody it's known. It isn't going to be Joe Smith that played in 1950. Right. So one more time, which Steeler is the career leader in putting the ball on the turf?
What's funny is the two actual fumbles that come to mind for the Steelers are by players who are notoriously good at not fumbling. So Bettis didn't fumble much, Mendenhall didn't fumble much, but they had two of the biggest fumbles in the history of the Steelers. Right. But I'm going to go with somebody who has a lot of time handling the ball for Pittsburgh. Somebody who has seen the ball probably more than anybody in the history of the Steelers. I'm going to say Ben Roethlisberger.
Interesting. So Ben Roethlisberger, is that your?
Yeah, I'm going to give that my final answer, but it's kind of a guess. I really don't have much of a knowledge on that.
All right, now I'm locking
it's
you
funny.
in.
I immediately thought of Mendenhall.
Let's just take a quick board here real quick, guys. Barry Foster's being thrown out there by Richard.
Number 29.
Phil Steele saying Terry Bradshaw.
It's a great guess as well.
Vegas is saying Bradshaw. John's saying no clue who had the longevity. Juju fumbled it. Corey's saying Mike. Ooh. Ben is Finch's choice. Mike, who are you thinking?
Yeah, my initial thoughts were Ben and Bradshaw just because longevity.
And they've touched the ball more than anybody. I mean,
they
had more chances to fumble.
I mean, not interceptions, I would say, but fumbling. Though,
those strip sacks and shit like that cause fumbles. And then, damn.
I mean, Ben held on to the ball a lot. And he definitely took a lot of strip fumbles that we were very upset about.
Yeah.
I just don't know if he has more fumbles than some running backs or receivers, but
all right, Mike. So that comes back to you, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Bradshaw.
Is the career leader in putting the ball on the ground? You're gonna go with Terry Bradshaw?
Yeah, because he was a running quarterback too back in the 70s.
All right, so Finch has Ben Roethlisberger. Mike, I'm gonna lock you in on Terry Bradshaw on the board. It's certainly in favor of Terry. Quite a few Terry Bradshaws on the board. Guys, the question of the day: which Steeler is the career leader in fumbles? Talking about offensively putting the ball on the ground. We got some Bens, we got some Bradshaws, we got Barry Foster, Juju. The answer, guys, to the question of the day: which Steeler is the career leader in fumbles with 115 in his career? Ben Roethlisberger. 115. So, which makes sense. It sounds like a hell of a lot of fumbles, but when you spread that out over 18 seasons, not a lot of.
Yeah, I mean, he played more. He played that many games, really. I mean, if you think about it, That's wild. That's a wild stat, man. That's a
Is it?
lot of freaking fumbles. And once again, though, it comes back to who's the guy who holds the ball more than anybody? It's the quarterback.
Yeah.
And nobody held the ball more or held the ball longer than Ben Roethlisberger for the Steelers.
Right.
So that would be the real stat, like ball in hand, actual time. You know what I mean? Probably a ridiculous number for Ben.
On the board, yes, Curb is awesome, John. I love it. I what do they call it? I binged it. The whole entire series, I binged it in a couple of weeks, and
That's a lot of TV, man. That show has a lot of seasons.
You ain't kidding, man. Mike,
It's
you
funny,
remember
though.
that
It's
when
great.
I was nothing.
Oh my God.
nothing
Every
but
time I was
Curb.
over at the studio, Larry did this. Larry did that.
Like anybody cares, you know what I mean? You're telling people
Right.
like what you
And what's
enjoyed
wild
watching.
about that show is it was mostly improv.
Yes.
I watched an interview with Larry David. He was talking about it. He says, we would just have a couple of points that like story beats that they would hit, and then they
Right.
would just talk. And they were just so funny and so silly. They would just come up with the most outrageous shit. And it would lead to some of the funniest conversations on TV, man.
We are going to get ready to wrap it up shortly, guys, with the our death poll picks. So, guys, start getting them thoughts together as I finish up these last couple messages here on the board. We will get into that. Mark Malone said he thought it was Harmon out there when he's seen Cam Hayward running. That's how impressive. He looked like a young man, was what he's saying. How many did he lose, Vegas? I'm not sure. That's a good question. I don't know how many of those fumbles that he lost.
Hold on.
We
I
are,
might have it.
Mike. We are just
Probably
really trying
less
to
than
wrap it up
half.
at this point, though. If you could pull it up real quick.
Keep
Phil
going,
Steele,
I'll
I
watch it.
knew it was a QB, though. That does make sense. Absolutely, Richard. Phil Steele says, "Cheers, cheers, you Yinzers. Until next time." And Theo Vaughn says, "Steelers need a thug." Guys,
Theo Vaughn is awesome.
let's get into this. Who is Finch? Who is your death poll pick for now until the next one dies? Who
I really hate this pick. I hate to say it, but in light of recent activities around the world, I have to say Volodymyr Zelensky, the president of Ukraine. Yeah.
Interesting.
Just
Okay.
after what happened yesterday, man,
It's getting murky, man.
it's getting ugly. And he has a meeting with Putin, I think this week in Istanbul, if that's right. Anything could happen.
Don't drink the water. Don't drink the
Don't
tea.
touch anything. Don't shake his hand.
If a guy
Well,
comes walking
Finch
up
is
like,
actually rooting for it. He wants to win the death
Finch,
poll.
did you see the movie The Interview? Could you imagine if you
Yes.
seen a Russian guy walking over
Yes.
to Zelensky with his hand like that?
Yeah, just the ricin thing, right? Yeah. And
Yeah.
all of a sudden, next thing you know, Zelensky's out in the middle of a field getting fucked by a tiger or whatever happened in that movie.
Mike, who's your death poll, Mike?
Let's go with Helen Mirren.
Who the hell is
Oh,
that?
why? Come
She's
on,
79
man.
years old. I'm
Who
She's
is
still
that?
hot, though. I love her.
Mike,
She's
who is
great.
that?
Helen Mirren. She's an actress. She played the Queen. She was in a bunch of stuff over the years. Just look her up. 1981 movie called Excalibur. Helen Mirren, Excalibur, and that's all you need to see.
Helen Mirren Caligula.
Caligula. That's the one I'm thinking of. I think she was in Excalibur as well, but
Yeah.
Caligula's the one where she went
Richard
full
with a
nude,
good
yeah.
one. Richard with a good one. I picked him before.
So did I actually, and
Yeah.
that's when the Pope decided.
My pick
to
is
grow.
this. That's a bit of a surprise pick. It's somebody that you don't think about often, but I think this is who I'm going to pick. I'm going to pick Vicki Lawrence, Mama from Mama's Family.
Oh,
She's still alive?
Yeah, she's in good shape. Matter of fact, she was only 30 when she was Mama. She was about
I
15
know.
years.
isn't that
older.
wild?
Yeah.
Yeah. She was really young in that show, and everybody that she was with on that show was older than her. You know what
Yes,
I mean?
her kids. Vinton was
Yeah,
20
Ken
years
Berry
older.
was like 60 years old at the time.
Right.
She's 76, so yeah.
What a great
So
show.
I got Vicki
What a
Lawrence
fantastic TV
because I did see Mama's Family on TV the other night. So I am going to stick with that. Vicki Lawrence is my pick. Helen,
Jesus. Sean.
Mike, who again is yours? Helen
Helen Mirren.
Mirren, spell Mirren.
Mirren.
Who Finch knew that rather quick.
All right, so
I
Finch,
love her. She's great.
you have Vladimir Zelensky. Mike, you got Helen Mirren. I got Vicki Lawrence. That is the death poll. It is
Richard has Clint Eastwood. I can give him that.
well, that's who
Yeah.
you picked a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, we
right?
picked that before. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just, that's like a fallback pick.
It was
You
actually
just
Mike's
find the
pick.
oldest
Mike's-
guy in Hollywood and just
Yeah.
say that could be the
Yeah,
guy.
Richard
Yeah.
might not have heard that one, but that's a good pick by him.
Good pick.
Dick Van Dyke's another good one.
John
He's like
says
100
type in
years
Larry
old,
David
yeah.
sex with Palestinian women on YouTube after the show best clip ever. You know what, Vegas? That's like Estelle Getty being the youngest one on the Golden Girls. Absolutely.
Sure.
You could go back to Mike. I think it's maybe episode I don't know what 12ish of this show. Of course, we're moving in on 800, Mike, back sometime right around episode 12, I think we got into, because it was right around when Betty White died.
I think so.
And you went on about your lust for Estelle Getty.
There's something about Estelle Getty. A little old back in Sicily. Picture it. I'll picture it. I'll picture it. Me and you in Sicily, Estelle Getty.
Mike's always been fond of Estelle Getty.
Everyone who talks about Betty White or Rue and B. Arthur, no. Give me Estelle Getty.
Finch, anything before we do start getting ready to wrap things up for today?
A giant volcano exploded in Sicily yesterday. Did you see that?
Mount Etna.
Yeah, Mount Etna, right. Kind of funny. We made it. Yeah, picture it. Sicily.
Mount Etna.
Nothing much to add here. The three Gooners will be back on Friday night, 9:30 p.m. We're planning a show. We're gonna have a good time. My work schedule is finally cooperating.
Did you get the board fixed? I noticed last time you during your last show there was an issue.
Yeah,
with the
board wasn't working, and it was because I used Restream last time. Usually when I do the show, we keep it inside house here. So like we're in my studio. I use a program that connects everything into my computer and then just puts it out to YouTube.
And you were working with Derpy.
I was working with Restream and Derpy because Derpy's not here. He's at his place. So I had to use Restream to get him in. And it's the second time I've used Restream on the Gooners, and it's the second time that I had issues with chat. So you guys don't seem to have that issue very often here, but I know it does happen on the Yinzers. But something about the Restream website wasn't cooperating with me, and it sucked because we had a whole show where we did like an hour and a half, and I had no comments to read.
I was there the whole time. I was
stuck with Derpy. He was fucking falling asleep during the show.
The comment, what would happen? The comment would go up on the screen, and then it would take it away.
It would disappear. I typed in comments myself, and they would pop up, and then it would just go flat. And I'm like, oh, what the heck,
so
man?
whatever that was, hopefully we get that fixed by then. But on Friday, I can't wait. I cannot wait to watch you guys. Always a big fan of.
We have a good time. We like to have fun.
Mike, what about you, man? Anything before you get ready to wrap things up for today?
Will Howard is 6 TDs short of Tom Brady's all-time OTA touchdown record of 35.
All right. Good. Because
people track that shit now, apparently.
Right.
I know that was from a parody account, but it's making fun of these people who track completion percentage.
Well, Mike, I think it's nice to know. Again, here's the thing: everybody tracks everything. Bottom line, anything that goes on in this
coach
world,
is tracking shit.
Somebody's tracking something. If it's nothing, there's a computer tracking everything that you do. So it's nice to just take a look at that. Let's just say you looked at that and seen that Will Howard, in the time that he played so far, was 3 for 58.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? You're getting a vibe. You're getting the feel of what's going on. We know that these numbers are irrelevant. They mean nothing, but still you get it gives you an idea of the feel of what this guy's doing. So again, Mike, from that, I say good for him. And I know that people are going to say, but it's only OTAs. But again, it gives you an idea. It puts things into perspective for you. And to be able to tell what's going on. Is he doing well in camp or is he not? That's showing me that he's doing okay.
Every snap counts.
Every snap counts.
Every snap. So every snap, whether it's an OTA snap, whether it's a preseason, postseason, regular season, every single snap is going to have an effect on every single player on the field with their mental game, with their physical ability, their communication. It's going to have some sort of effect, and you need that to be together and cohesive, and you need practices to get cohesive.
Real quick, my thing of the day is this. Zach Frazier goes down, blows his knee week 1. Who is the starting center the rest of the season? Mike?
McCollum.
Whew, that could be interesting.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say too. And that's
all right. No, just a good question. I just know that depth isn't what it was. We did go through some players did leave the team this past year, so going to be interesting to see if that does start becoming an issue. Because if McCollum plays center and the guards become an issue and an injury happens there,
it could be a more important, tougher issue to deal with than the D line or the quarterback situation. Yeah,
that's all I'm
saying.
That
cohesiveness. Yeah.
You're right, and cohesiveness is key again, guys. I do want to say thank you, everybody, for coming and hanging out, checking us out today. We appreciate each and every one of you. We truly, honestly do. From the bottom of our hearts, we wouldn't do it without you. Thank you so much. I do want to say to everybody, thank you on the board. You guys always keep things interesting here on the show. No two ways about it. You guys make it just as much as we do. Thank you so much on the board. Everybody at home, everybody listening in the car, at the gym, at work, wherever you may be. I want to say thank you to you as well. We appreciate everybody. Thank you so much, guys. You are amazing. Kenneth said, find some wood to knock on with that Frazier injury column. And I know, please, if it does happen, please just shoot me on the spot. I don't know if I'll be able to take that, but could you imagine? Could you imagine we just come out right out the gate, start having injury issues with the offensive line?
I'm blaming you.
Just tar and feather me if that happens.
Good job, Dick.
You and you, wherever I can point.
What's up?
Nothing. I had a derpy moment. Don't mind me.
But it was a lot of fun today. We had Derpy for a while. We had Finch come by. Don't forget, check him out on Friday nights. The three Gooners at 9:30 on Fridays, right here. Finch, Mike, anything before we roll? Speak now or forever hold your peace.
Have a good one.
That is Derpy snoring on my podcast now.
Oh, that was actually him snoring.
Yeah. And me laughing hysterically.
Sounds like a cat sneezing or something.
Yeah, right. It sounds, yeah, exactly.
No, again, thank you so much, everybody. We appreciate everybody. We'll be back tomorrow at our regular time. Pirates back in action today, starting the series against the Astros. That game is at 6:40. It is a Paul Skeens day if you are making your way down to the stadium. Paul Skeens tonight. Mitch Keller, also Mike Burrows through the rest of the series. Mike, the Caitlin Clarkless Fever, also tonight, 7 o'clock. We'll see if they can pull it off. We'll be talking about all that stuff and much, much more. And as we continue to dig deep into what's going on with this Aaron Rodgers situation, and our Pittsburgh Steelers will continue to scrape the barrel and find every bit of information to get to you right here on the Two Dumb Yinzers. We'll be back tomorrow at our regular time. Again, we thank everybody. Don't forget, if you haven't yet, to go check out our social media. We are everywhere on Facebook. We are on X, Instagram, Threads, everywhere you look. Go check us out. And also, before you leave, if you haven't, hit the like button, hit the share button, and hit the subscribe. Helps us out right here on the show. We appreciate everybody. For Finch, for Mike in the Steelers Central Mobile Studio, myself, the Two Dumb Yinzers, everybody have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.